Hey friends, before we dive into tonight's story, did you know that nearly 80% of the people who watch these videos aren't subscribed? If you're enjoying this kind of content, consider hitting the subscribe button. It really helps a lot, and it keeps these long stories going. Also, I'd love to hear from you. What time is it right now where you are, and which city are you listening from tonight? And if these stories help you sleep, feel free to tap the thanks button to support the channel. It truly means a lot. All right, let's get into it. It was 2:17 when the dispatcher's voice cracked through the static. Silent 911, 38.250 north, 96.000 west. Repeated calls, no voice. My partner, Deputy Cole Nguyen, and I exchanged a look in the cab of the patrol Tahoe. Out here, silent meant someone was too scared or too trapped to speak. We pulled onto the gravel drive of the Harrows family farm, the only light a thin crescent moon struggling behind ragged clouds. The fence posts sagged, the cornstalks pressed close like silent sentinels. No GPS signal, no cell. Just the hum of our engine and the weight of the night. Cole killed the engine. We stepped out, boots crunching on damp straw. The air smelled of moldy hay and decaying corn husks. Every breath felt thick. I tapped my mic. "Dispatch, this is 412, we're on scene." Proceeding on foot, the radio fizzled. Typical for this hollowed-out pocket of Greenwood County. I drew my flashlight, its beam carving through the darkness toward the collapsing barn and the sagging porch of the farmhouse beyond. "Anything on your end?" I asked Cole. "Just silence," he replied. His voice sounded small. We approached the veranda. The front door hung ajar, an invitation or a warning. I eased forward, hand on holster, flashlight in the other. Inside, the living room lay in ruin, a threadbare sofa half swallowed by dust, an overturned chair, and dozens of telephone handsets strewn across the floor like abandoned lifelines. Their cords were cut, trailing into the walls in jagged loops. My heart thumped. I knelt, picking up one handset. It was warm, slick with something dark, fresh. I flicked it on. No dial tone, just static. Whoever called had ripped the phone free. I stood, sweeping the beam across the room. Cobwebs draped the windows. The curtains billowed slightly, though no breeze stirred. "Cole, look at this." I pointed to scratch marks gouged into the plaster beside the staircase. Claw marks, long, uneven, like someone frantic to escape. He knelt, brushing away dust. They fought to get out. A low creak sounded upstairs. We froze. The house seemed to inhale, then another creak, deliberate, measured, as if someone walked heel to toe. "South end, second floor," I whispered into the mic. "Possible subject inside." Cole moved to cover the stairs while I edged forward. Each step groaned beneath me. At the top, the hallway stretched into pitch black. Doors on either side were closed. At the far end, one door stood cracked, darkness pooling through the gap. I approached, flashlight trembling. The frame was smeared with a dark crust. Dried blood or aged paint. I shoved the door. It swung open soundlessly. Inside, a child's rocking horse, frozen mid-sway. The carpet beneath was soaked, a spreading stain darker than age. The smell hit me, coppery, pungent. My radio sputtered, 412. But static swallowed my words. Cole's voice returned briefly. I'm at the foot of the stairs. Then, silence again. I stepped into the room. Candles, reduced to stubs, glowed weakly in each corner. Their flames flickered, casting long shadows that trembled on cracked walls. In the center, small bare footprints circled the stain as if a child had paced in terror. My pulse spiked. A whisper skated across my neck. Help. Me. I spun, flashlight beam cutting the room. Nothing moved. The whisper came again, closer, a child's voice thin and desperate. I called out, "Sheriff's office, who's here?" The only answer was the creak of the house settling. I grabbed my radio. "Dispatch, suspect sighted, possible juvenile." Sector 2. No response. The static pressed in. I dropped the radio, lunged for the door. Behind me, the candles snuffed out in unison, plunging me into darkness. I fumbled for my flashlight. It clicked on, beam dancing across the floor. The rocking horse was gone. In its place, a small silhouette hunched against the wall, too still to be human. I dared not breathe. Then it vanished, slipped behind the plaster as if the wall had liquefied for a moment. I bolted down the hallway. Cole met me at the top of the stairs, face pale. "You saw it," he rasped. I nodded. "We need to get out." We raced downstairs. The living room stretched before us, silent and empty. The telephone handsets lay untouched. I kicked at one. It skittered across the floor, coming to rest near the stairs. The cord curled toward the shadows. In the doorway, moonlight gleamed off something metallic. I stepped closer. A badge, bent and scratched, face down in the dust. It was mine, Deputy Hernandez. I never dropped it. Cole's flashlight caught movement by the front window, muddy footprints leading out across the porch. 2 sets, ours, and another smaller set, toes splayed. They trailed into the cornstalks and disappeared. I swallowed. "This place, it's alive." He nodded. Dispatch just pinged back. They got the recordings. 3 silent calls, then, on the last, a voice, a child's voice. My blood ran cold. What did it say? "Please, stay." We stepped outside. The night seemed to lean in, the cornstalks whispering among themselves. The old silos cast long, skeletal shadows. The farm looked abandoned, yet something lingered. I radioed for backup. As we waited, I scanned the field. The moon broke free of clouds, illuminating a single figure standing at the edge of the corn. Small, pale, unmoving. I raised my flashlight. The beam struck empty air. The figure was gone. When the crime scene unit arrived, they found no sign of a child. No prints in the mud beyond the porch, no footprints in the field. The shattered badge was dusted for prints. Only mine. The phones yielded nothing but static. The farmhouse had no working utilities, no phone line. Yet 3 calls had come from inside. I drove away at dawn, headlights carving through the lingering fog. The farmhouse receded into the gloom, its windows like dark eyes watching. My radio crackled with routine traffic. Accidents, livestock calls, routine noise. But I couldn't shake what I'd heard. Back at the station, I replayed the 911 tapes. Call 1, silence. Call 2, nothing but faint breathing. Call 3, a soft whisper, "Please, stay." Then static. That voice, barely above a breath, echoed in my mind. I've answered dozens of farm calls since. Livestock injuries, trespassers, DUIs on country roads. But I never ignore a silent 911. Because out there in the black, someone, or something, will use your own silence against you. The wind had shifted, carrying a sour chill through the cornstalks, as Cole and I huddled under the yellow glow of the crime scene van's floodlight. My breath curled in the air, and every hair on my neck stood on end. Behind us, the farmhouse loomed. Its broken windows dark hollows, its sagging porch like a dropping jaw. I tried to steady my racing heart. This was my job. I was trained for calls like this, and yet I felt hollowed out, as if the house had reached into me and carved away my confidence. Cole glanced at his watch. "Backup's ETA 10 minutes, he said. "CSI, coroner, maybe a K9 unit." He swallowed. "You want to check the barn?" The old livestock barn sat 50 yards from the house, its sliding doors half open, revealing nothing but darkness within. The silo beside it cast a long shadow that merged with the field, and I could almost imagine figures slithering between the metal ribs. But I nodded. We had to clear every building. I lifted my flashlight and stepped off the porch, boots sinking into damp earth. The other footprints, the small ones, were gone, erased by an unseen hand or by wind. I exhaled. Let's go. We crossed the yard. The scent of manure and rot grew stronger as we neared the barn. Its wooden siding was splintered. Nails rusted through. Cole pushed the door wider. It groaned, protesting. Inside, the beam of my flashlight picked out old feeding troughs, broken stalls, and piles of hay long since turned to dust. Rats scurried away from the light, squeaking. Nothing, Cole whispered, sweeping his light. I moved toward the far corner where a faint irregularity caught my eye. The ground was disturbed, hoof-deep impressions in the muck, as if someone had staggered through. But the prints weren't equine. They were human, adult, barefoot, pressing deep into the mud. I followed them to a stack of rusted equipment. Among the tines of an old pitchfork lay a scrap of cloth. A child's sock, faded blue, embroidered with a tiny sailboat. I crouched, heart hammering. Cole, look. He knelt beside me, face grim. That's a kid's sock. He tapped it gently with his gloved finger. How long you think it's been here? I frowned. The sock was damp but clean of mold. Too fresh to have lain weeks. Not long. A soft sound echoed behind us. A whisper of movement, a creak in the rafters. Cole shined his light upward. Shadows shifted between the beams. Something dropped to the floor, a soft thud. We spun, guns drawn, flashlights sweeping. The beam landed on another handset, dangling from its cord which now threaded through a hole in the roof. It swung gently, as if held by invisible fingers. I stepped forward, hand outstretched. The moment I touched the handset, the barn door slammed shut with a deafening bang. The lights on the van flickered. My radio crackled. 412, you copy? Static swallowed the transmission. Cole and I dove for cover behind an overturned feed trough. My heart thundered. The barn went silent, save for our ragged breathing. Then, from somewhere overhead, a soft tapping began like nails on wood. Tap, 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 each beat irregular as if someone rapping to get our attention. Cole, I hissed, get the door. He sprinted to the door and yanked. It held fast. He rammed it with his shoulder. The wood shuddered but didn't give. The tapping grew louder, closer, directly above us now. I shone my light upward. In the loft, shapes shifted. Bundles of hay, broken crates, and something crouched in the gloom. A small figure, head down, limbs folded. It remained motionless, save for the tapping, one finger drumming on a wooden beam. I swallowed. Child? The word died on my lips as the figure lifted its head. Pale face, dark eyes too large, reflecting the beam like wet stones. Its mouth opened in a silent, "Oh!" And then it began to tap faster, frantic, a staccato plea. Cole shouted from the door. Hernandez, we've got to get out now! We abandoned our positions and dashed toward him. The barn shook with a low groan, as if protesting our flight. We slammed against the door together. It finally gave way, and we spilled into the night, stumbling across the yard. I risked a glance back. The barn door swung open behind us, and inside the loft window, the small figure stood, outlined against the darkness, watching. We didn't stop until we reached the patrol vehicle. I fumbled with the door, heart racing. Cole slammed a knee into the barn door remote on the dash, useless with no power. He dropped into the passenger seat. I started the engine. The headlights flared onto the farmhouse. Everything looked deceptively still. "Did you see that?" Cole's voice trembled. I nodded, swallowing hard. It was a kid, but not a kid. I shivered. Something else. We stayed in the Tahoe, engines running, until the CSI truck rolled up with its amber lights flashing. K9 units arrived and sent a bloodhound in, only to have the dog panic at the barn entrance, hack and yelp, then refuse to enter. The handler shrugged. She won't go near it. Inside the barn, investigators found the sock and the handset. No sign of the creature. No other prints except ours, and the small muddy footprints that trailed off under the hayloft. They dusted for prints on the handset. Only ours. The barn yielded nothing else. No hidden crawl spaces, no secret doors, no signs of habitation. By the time we walked back to the farmhouse, the early gray of dawn was touching the horizon. The wind had died, leaving the air unnaturally still. I stepped onto the porch and found my badge where I'd left it, clean, unscratched, resting on the wood as if placed there deliberately. I picked it up, heart in my throat. Below it, pressed into the dust, were the words, "Stay." Cole came up beside me. "You seeing this?" I nodded, voice barely a whisper. "They're sending someone to collect evidence. Let's clear out." I radioed dispatch. 412 clearing scene, subject unknown. Recommend mental health follow-up, possible paranormal investigation. The dispatcher replied with protocol compliance. Nothing unusual, but I knew better. Back at the station, I dropped the sock and the handset onto evidence lockers. I watched them as if they might move. Then I replayed the 911 calls again. Call 1, dead air. Call 2, faint breathing. Call 3, a child's voice pleading, don't leave me." The final beat was a click, then silence. I closed my eyes. That voice wasn't over the radio. It was inside my head, an echo. I felt its pull every time I closed my eyes, small, cold fingers tapping at my skull. That night I couldn't sleep. I drove back toward the farm, headlights cutting through the dark. The house sat empty, silent. I parked on the road and stepped out. The cornstalks rustled, though no wind blew. I heard it again, a soft tapping coming from the porch. I leveled my flashlight. On the door, someone had scrawled with a dark substance, "Stay with me." Beneath it, 2 small handprints, one on the wood, one on the glass, smudged but clear. I backed away, heart hammering. The radio in my patrol car crackled. 412, come in. I didn't answer. I climbed back in, locked the doors, and drove away. The tapping followed me in my mind, insistent. Stay. Stay. I know I should let it go, let detectives and psychologists sort it out. But every silent 911 call I answer now, I expect to find that child. And every farmhouse I patrol, I half expect to see those dark eyes watching from the loft. Because out there, in the fields, something doesn't want to be left alone, and neither do I. The headlights of the Tahoe receded into the distance, but the memory of that porch door, scrawled message, tiny handprints, gnawed at me. I drove east on County Road 12, the cornstalks bowing in silent salute to the moon. My pulse hadn't slowed since I left the farm. Every shadow between the rows promised those dark, unblinking eyes. I told myself it was over. Evidence bagged, CSI had the scene. But as I passed mile marker 7, my radio crackled unexpectedly. 412, be advised. Disturbance at Harvest Road and 47, possible 911, hang up. My gut twisted. I flipped the mic switch. Dispatch, this is 412, I'm in the area. Send details. No reply. Static. Then silence. I glanced at Cole's empty passenger seat. He'd gone back to the station to file reports. I should have been with him. Instead, I steered toward Harvest Road, tires crunching loose gravel. The turnoff led deep into fields. My radio sputtered again. "Help me!" Faint, barely, audible. I froze, hand on the wheel. That voice, child's whisper, on my police frequency? I scanned the dark. The beam from my spotlight illuminated a lonely silo, half hidden by stalks. Beneath it lay an overturned ATV, engine still warm. No lights, no rider. I killed the engine, heart hammering. Feet on the ground, I approached the ATV. The smell of gasoline mingled with damp earth. Its handlebars were twisted, hand grips chewed. I shone my flashlight over the seat. A smear of mud and something darker. Blood? I knelt. A smear of tiny footprints led away toward the corn. I followed, every sense on high alert. The stalks pressed in, whispering. My light bobbed over disturbed earth. More prints, adult and child. They wove between the rows, then stopped at a gap where the field ended. Beyond lay a shallow creek, its surface silver in moonlight. On the far bank, the prints resumed, heading toward a cluster of trees. I radioed, "Cole, you copy?" "I'm on Harvest Road. Found a TV. Possible victim footprints leading north." No answer. My radio clicked and died. I patted my jacket, battery gone, great, alone, deep in a field with something hunting me. I pressed on. The creek bank was muddy, my boots sank. On the opposite side, 2 sets of footprints paused at the trunk of a gnarled oak. Beneath it lay a child's jacket, a little red windbreaker, stained and torn. The sleeve flapped in the breeze like a warning flag. I gulped, heart in my throat. I knelt, brushing mud from the fabric. Inside the pocket, I found a crumpled Polaroid, a grainy image of the farmhouse porch, 3 candles burning, and a small silhouette standing behind me, though no one stood there when I snapped it. A rustle to my left. I spun, light slicing through the trees. Branches quivered, then nothing. I rose, chest tight. The whisper came again, unmistakable. "Don't go." I shook my head. "Show yourself." My voice cracked. Silence. My flashlight beam landed on a hollow at the base of the oak. A child's boot, one boot caked in mud. The other was gone. I swallowed bile. Suddenly, the woods exhaled a low groan. The ground beneath the oak trembled, roots shifting. I stumbled back as the roots curled away, revealing a narrow hole dug into the earth. Something slithered inside, dark, wet. I thought I saw a flash of pale skin. The hole sealed itself as if nothing had happened. Wet soil collapsed. I backed away, adrenaline surging. My training told me to call backup, but my radio was dead, my partner was miles away, and whatever lived here wanted me alone. A soft giggle drifted from the cornfield, a child's laugh, innocent and hollow. I snapped my flashlight toward the field. Between rows, I saw movement. A small figure at the edge of the stalks, wearing that red windbreaker. It stood perfectly still, head tilted. Then it darted out of sight. I ran toward the field, flashlight bobbing. The stalks slapped my face and arms. The laughter echoed all around me, bouncing between the rows. I called, "Hey, come here!" My voice sounded desperate. The laughter stopped. Silence pressed in. Then, from directly ahead, a tiny hand shot out, gripping my arm. I yanked the light down. A child's face stared up at me, pale, eyes too dark, lips stretched in a grin that didn't reach the eyes. The windbreaker was torn. Mud caked the child's legs. It opened its mouth, and instead of a cry, a rasping whisper, "Stay!" I yanked free and stumbled back. The child vanished into the stalks. I heard footsteps, adult footsteps behind me. I whirled, gun drawn. A man in coveralls stood there, face hidden in shadow. He raised his hands. "Officer, You shouldn't be here." His voice was calm, Midwestern drawl. I steadied my breathing. "Who are you?" He stepped closer. Moonlight revealed gaunt features, hollow cheeks. "Name's Harris, local farmer. Heard a call on my scanner, 911, came to help." He nodded toward the creek. "Found your ATV. Kid ran off. Been chasing her footprints all night." I lowered my gun slightly. "Where is she?" He shook his head. "Don't know. But she's not alive like you're alive." He spat. "She's been dead since last harvest." My blood froze. "What do you mean?" He pointed to the corn. "That little girl died in these fields months ago. Drowned in the creek. They never found her body. Folks say her spirit wanders, calling for help." He shrugged. I brushed it off until tonight. A whisper drifted. "Help me." Harris stiffened. "You hear that?" We both turned. From the edge of the field, dozens of small figures emerged. Children, pale and silent, faces blank. They drifted toward us, feet never sinking in mud, stopping just beyond the flashlight's reach. Their eyes glowed. The red windbreaker child stepped forward, then another, until a ring of them encircled us. I swallowed, heart pounding. "Harris, we need to leave." He nodded, backing away, but the children stepped closer. The one in the windbreaker raised its hand, pointing at me. The others mimicked. The whisper rose in unison. "Stay, stay, stay." I felt roots wrap around my boots, the same roots from the oak, pulling me toward the creek. Harris yanked at my jacket. "Come on." I tore free and ran, Harris beside me. The children's laughter chased us through the stalks. The field seemed endless, rows shifting to block our path. I tripped, sprawling into mud. Harris helped me up, and we burst onto the creek bank, gasping. Behind us, the field fell silent. No laughter, no footprints, just the moonlit water rippling. The children were gone. I turned to Harris. "We call this in. Get help." He shook his head, eyes haunted. "No radio." "No way out except that road back there." He pointed. "Go, don't look back." We sprinted through the mud to the patrol car. I fumbled with the door. Harris paused at the edge of the woods, watching. The red windbreaker child appeared behind him, draping a small hand on his shoulder. He didn't turn. The child tilted its head, watching us. I hit the starter. The engine roared. As we pulled away, Harris vanished into the trees. The field lay empty, silent. The creek shimmered. On the dashboard lay the Polaroid I'd pocketed. I picked it up. A new figure stood on the porch behind the silhouette, Cole. Flashlight raised, pointing at me. But Cole had never been there. I dropped the photo. It fluttered under the seat. My radio crackled once. 412-, then silence. I glanced at the rearview mirror. In the back seat, a tiny handprint appeared on the glass, smeared in mud. I jerked the wheel, nearly swerving off the road. The handprint remained, perfectly formed, small fingers splayed. Beneath it, written in the condensation, "Stay with me." The moon dipped behind a bank of clouds as Deputy Hernandez's Tahoe tires crunched onto the paved county road. Her hands still trembled on the wheel. Beside her, the dashboard clock glowed 5:48. Dawn remained an hour away. She glanced in the rearview mirror. The empty back seat stared back. No child, no handprint. Yet the memory of tiny fingers on the glass burned in her mind. She cleared her throat. "Cole," she said, even though he wasn't there. "We need to finish this." Her radio crackled once. Static, then faintly. "Help!" A child's whisper so soft she almost missed it. She slammed the mic button. "Dispatch, someone call me back." The whisper cut off. She pulled over under a lone streetlight at the junction of Harvest Road and County 12. Engine idling, she stepped out into the chill. The fog lay low, weaving through fence posts. She scanned the field line. No farmhouse, no barn, just endless rows of dark stalks. Her phone buzzed. A text from Cole. "Where are you?" Backup's asking. She typed, "On foot, we'll meet at scene." She pocketed the phone and strode toward the field's edge, flashlight in hand. Every instinct screamed not to go, but she couldn't leave it undone. The air smelled of wet earth and rot. She stepped into the first row, stalks whispering behind her. Footprints, adult and child, marred the mud. She followed them north, toward the creek where the ATV lay. Her light caught the thin ribbon of water, black and oily. On the far bank, the red windbreaker lay limp on the mud. She crossed, boot sinking, and retrieved it. It was colder than the air, soaked through. She folded it carefully and slung it over her shoulder. A soft giggle echoed from the corn. She froze. "Show yourself," she called. No answer. Then the whisper, "Stay." She shivered. "I will, but you have to show me why." A shape detached itself from the stalks. A little girl, face pale, eyes empty. She wore the windbreaker, hood down, hair plastered to her cheeks. She held out a muddy hand. Hernandez swallowed. "Why are you here?" she asked gently. "What happened to you?" The girl tilted her head, as if studying her. Then she pointed back toward the field. Hernandez followed the gesture. There, etched in the mud between the rows, were dozens of tiny footprints forming a spiral that led back toward the farmhouse, though that house lay miles west. The spiral tightened, centering on a single print. A bare footprint pressed so deep the mud had pooled in its depression. Hernandez bent, tracing the outline. Her breath caught. The print was not child size, it was adult. And it was hers. She straightened. The girl giggled again, an eerie, hollow sound. Hernandez's flashlight flickered. For a heartbeat, the child's face warped. Mouth stretched in a grin far too wide, eyes solid black. Then the light stabilized. The girl stood serene. "Follow me," the girl whispered, turning away. She glided between the stalks. Hernandez followed, heart hammering. The spiral of prints guided her steps, each footfall echoing in the hush. The corn walls pressed close, the path narrowing. The air grew colder. At the spiral's center, Hernandez emerged into a small clearing, no more than 10 feet across. The moon broke free, illuminating a single object, the battered Polaroid, on a stump of cut corn. She approached, heart in her throat. The photo face-up showed the farmhouse porch, the rocking horse room, the barn loft. And in each image, the little silhouette stood behind her, closer in each successive shot. In the final frame, the silhouette filled the lens, featureless. She bent to pick it up. Fingers trembling, she turned it over. On the back, scrawled in childish scrawl, "Find me." Her radio crackled. 412 status? Cole's voice, urgent. She tucked the Polaroid into her pocket. "Found something. Need extraction point." Her voice shook. "Hold tight, unit's 5 minutes out." She clicked off the mic. The girl stood at the clearing's edge, watching. Hernandez swallowed. "Where to?" she asked. The girl stepped forward, pointing east, toward the rising sun. Hernandez hesitated, then followed. The corn path ended at a low earthen mound, half hidden by weeds. The girl reached down, brushing soil away. Beneath lay a small rusted tin box. She pried it open with small fingers. Hernandez knelt. Inside, a child's locket, tarnished silver, engraved with initials, L.H. Hernandez's breath caught. Her own initials. She closed her hand around the locket. The girl smiled sadly, then faded into the mist. The clearing darkened. Hernandez looked up. The phone in her pocket buzzed. A voicemail from dispatch. She played it. Static, then the child's whisper, "Don't forget me." She shivered. The mound before her shifted, soil sliding away to reveal a tiny coffin lid. She knelt, heart pounding, and pushed it aside. Inside lay the skeleton of a small child, curled fetal, clasping a silver locket identical to hers. The bones were bleached white, the locket chain still looped around the wrist. Hernandez staggered back. The ground rumbled. The cornfield around her bent outward, forming a ring. The stalks whispered her name. She fumbled for her radio, dead. Her flashlight flickered, dying. The sky brightened with dawn's first light, but the field remained dark as pitch. She heard footsteps, Cole's voice calling. "Mia, where are you?" She screamed. "Over here!" He appeared at the mound's edge, flashlight trained on her. Relief flooded her, until she saw his face pale. He followed her gaze to the coffin. He knelt, hand on bone. "Oh, God!" Hernandez held up the tin box. "My locket, our initials." Cole glanced at her, eyes wide. They want you." She felt it then, the ground beneath her foot sinking. The mound shifted, closing around the coffin. The spiral prints reappeared, circling her boots. The stalks pressed inward. The little girl's voice echoed, "Stay with me." Hernandez stepped back. "Cole, pull me out." He grabbed her arm. Together they stumbled toward the Tahoe. The field seemed to stretch, elongating the distance. Each step was slower, as if through water. The whisper followed. "Stay." She tripped. Cole caught her. The mound sealed completely. No coffin, no locket, only mud. The prints vanished. The corn stood rigid, silent. Dawn broke over the distant horizon. Cole and Hernandez burst onto the county road, breathing hard. The Tahoe's lights winked on. She fumbled inside, locking the doors. Cole's radio crackled back to life. 412, are you okay?" She swallowed. "We're extracting now." He hesitated. "You left something behind." She touched her chest, feeling the locket's weight. "I have it." She started the engine. As they pulled away, she glanced in the mirror. At the field's edge, a small figure stood, hand raised in farewell. The little girl in the red windbreaker. She smiled, then melted into the stalks. Hernandez exhaled, trembling. "Goodbye," she whispered. Cole glanced at her. "You think it's over?" She studied the rising sun. "I don't know, but she found peace tonight." Behind them, the field lay still. But Hernandez knew the whisper would never leave her. A promise and a warning. Stay. The dawn light burned through the windshield in harsh slashes, turning the mist over the fields into a pale haze. Deputy Cole Nguyen's eyes were red-rimmed, and I could see the tremor in his hands as he eased the Tahoe onto County Road 12. I clutched the silver locket in my palm, its weight both comfort and curse. Behind us, the cornfield lay silent, an ocean of green broken only by the ragged edge of the tree line. We'd fled the spiral clearing, left that open grave sealed beneath fresh earth, convinced it was over. But I felt the earth pulse beneath my boots even now. Cole glanced sideways at me. "You okay?" His voice was careful, as if testing fragile glass. I closed my fingers around the locket. I think she's finally at rest. The locket bore my initials, M.H., intertwined with delicate engraving. I traced the letters with a fingertip. She had my initials. She wanted to be remembered. Cole nodded slowly. "We'll turn this in. Evidence, photos, the locket. They'll log it. They'll call it a missing child cold case, maybe a hoax, maybe a prank gone sideways. But we know." He swallowed. "We know what happened." Silence stretched between us, filled only by the hum of the engine and the distant caw of a crow. The road ahead forked near the county line, left to the station, right back toward town. Cole flicked on his turn signal. Back to the station? I hesitated. The weight of the night still clung to me, sticky as mud. The locket felt suddenly cold, as if it contained more than metal. Not yet, I said. There's one more thing. Cole frowned, but didn't argue. We drove another half-mile to where the pavement ended, and a narrow gravel lane led toward a cluster of abandoned outbuildings. The map in my mind aligned with the Polaroid's second frame, the rocking horse room. I killed the engine. The world went silent except for our breathing. Show me. I held out the locket. Cole clicked on his flashlight. Its beam fell on a low foundation, the outline of a child's bedroom once attached to the main house. The clapboard siding was gone, windows shattered. Inside, the floor was littered with debris, broken toys, shards of glass, a single rocker's curved runners half buried in dirt. I stepped onto the threshold. The locket grew heavy in my hand. "Do you feel that?" Cole whispered. I nodded. The air was thick, charged. Every breath tasted of damp earth and distant sorrow. I shone the light across the room. In the far corner, half concealed by rubble, lay another Polaroid. I bent and picked it up. The image showed the bedroom as it once was, sunlit, cheerful wallpaper, a small bed with a quilt. A little girl sat on the bed, back to the camera, head turned as if beckoning someone to join her. Someone who looked exactly like me in uniform. I flipped the photo. On the back, in the same childish scrawl, "Stay with me." My heart pounded. The phrase was no longer invitation, but demand. I felt the floorboards groan beneath me, though there was no wood, only concrete and dirt. The flashlight flickered. Shadows pooled in the corners. "Deputy?" Cole's voice shook. He stepped forward, hand on my shoulder. "Mia, maybe we should—" A sudden rush of cold wind whipped through the room, carrying the faint echo of children's laughter. The locket in my hand clicked open on its own, revealing a tiny photograph. Me, standing on the porch of the farmhouse, flashlight raised, as in the final frame of Part 4. I hadn't taken that photo. My breath froze. Then the whisper, "Stay." It came from everywhere and nowhere. From behind the rubble, from beneath the floor, from inside my skull, the walls pulsed, breathing. The broken toys on the ground rattled as if in an unseen breeze. The Polaroid on the floor flipped face up by invisible fingers, revealing the next frame. The barn loft, the rocking horse gone, the small figure standing alone under a single beam of moonlight. And behind her, in the gloom, two more shapes, grown children's silhouettes watching. Cole yanked me back. "Mia!" I snapped out of it. The beam of his flashlight landed on the far wall, where muddy footprints pressed into the dust. My boots, his boots, and dozens of tiny prints circling them, forming that same spiral. The prints advanced toward us. I stumbled backward, dropping the locket. It bounced, skittered to a stop at the spiral center. The footprints inched closer, though no one walked. The spiral expanded, rows of prints filling the room, climbing the walls, crushing the concrete beneath them. The whisper rose in pitch. 1,000 tiny voices chanting, "Stay with us. Stay, stay." Cole grabbed my arm. "We need to leave now." I lurched for the door. The world tilted. The foundation trembled, dust falling from unseen rafters. The laughter twisted into screams. Childhood screams, high and terrible. I burst through the doorway into the gray dawn. Cole followed, slamming the door behind us. We stood on the threshold, breathing hard. The outbuilding sagged, as if sighing. The spiral prints on the concrete inside faded into cracks, as though the earth had swallowed them. A single Polaroid lay at our feet. Cole kicked it away. It fluttered against the gravel, landing face up, the final frame. An empty bed, rumpled sheets, the rocking horse gone, the loft empty, the farmhouse gone. Only the little figure remained, arms outstretched, smiling. We didn't speak. We climbed into the Tahoe. I picked up the locket, closed it, and slipped it into my pocket. Cole started the engine. The headlights picked out the gravel lane stretching back to the county road. As we turned, he reached into his jacket and pulled out the Polaroid he'd pocketed. He held it between us. "What now?" he asked. I studied the grainy image, the little girl under moonlight, silhouette perfect against the darkness. Then I saw it. Behind her, in the loft window, a shape that wasn't her, tall, gaunt, staring. I shivered. "We write it up, we mark it unexplained. We file the locket and the photos, and we never come back." Cole nodded, eyes haunted. Never come back. We rolled onto the paved road. The cornfield slid past in long, dark walls. The dawn brightened behind us, bleeding gold into the sky. I glanced in the rearview mirror. The outbuilding lay dark and silent, no sign of life or death. Yet, in the corner of the glass, I thought I saw a small face, pale, watching, before it winked out. I exhaled. The locket burned in my pocket. I placed a hand over it. "Rest now," I whispered. "But I'll remember." Cole switched on the radio. A morning show DJ babbled about traffic. I turned it off. Silence was better. We drove on in silence until the station came into view. Parking lights blinking, officers milling. Normalcy beckoned. I parked, cut the engine. Cole turned to me. "Want to grab coffee?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah." We stepped out into the light of morning. The horrors of the night receded but did not vanish. I fingered the locket in my pocket, knowing its secret and its weight. We walked toward the station door, two deputies who had faced the impossible. We would file our reports, we would answer questions, we would go home and try to sleep, but some calls never end, and some children never leave. Behind us, the cornfield whispered in the breeze, "Stay, stay." I didn't answer, but I didn't forget either. The flat gray of early morning pressed in as Deputy Hernandez and Deputy Nguyen stepped into the station lobby, exhaustion clinging to their shoulders like heavy cloaks. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, harsh and indifferent. Coffee steamed in styrofoam cups on the front desk. Patrol sergeants milled about, exchanging banal morning greetings. Everything here was ordinary, except the weight in Mia's pocket and the echo of a child's whisper in her mind. She set her cup down without tasting it. Cole watched her, eyes rimmed with fatigue. "You want to try?" he offered, gesturing at the coffee. She nodded, lifting the cup. The bitter warmth did nothing to calm her nerves. They filed their reports in the records room. Mia typed with one hand, while her other drifted to her chest, fingers resting on the silver locket. She described the silent 911 calls, the abandoned farmhouse, the barn loft, the barn's childlike tapping, the sock, the swirling footprints, the spiral clearing, the coffin, the Polaroids, and finally the red windbreaker girl who led her to the locket and the remains. The detective on duty glanced at the locket and photos, brow furrowed. "Unexplained remains, a missing child case from last fall," he murmured. "We'll have the medical examiner confirm ID. Cold case unit will want these." He nodded at the locket. "We'll log it as evidence. Good work." Mia forced a weary smile. "Thanks, Detective." She tucked the locket back into her pocket. Every click of evidence bags sealed away a piece of that night, but not the memory. They left the station together, stepping out into rising sun. The world looked peaceful, Dew on the grass, sparrows darting near the eaves. Cole exhaled. Think they buy it? Mia shrugged. They have to. We've got physical evidence now. She paused. But I'm not sure I believe it's over. Cole hesitated. What do you mean? She glanced down the quiet street. That field, the girl. She wanted me to stay. I left her remains behind, but what if her voice stays with me instead? She fingered the locket chain. What if she doesn't let go? Cole placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we keep moving. We do our jobs. We live our lives. She nodded, though unease twisted in her gut. They walked to their patrol cars. Cole paused at his vehicle. Hey, Mia, are you going to wear that on duty? He nodded at her uniform pocket. She glanced at the locket's faint outline under her shirt. Not sure. She unclipped it and slipped it into the console. Better safe than sorry. He nodded. Call me if you need anything. She watched him drive off, then climbed into her Tahoe. She sat for a moment, hands on the wheel. The dashboard clock read 8:15. Shift change would be soon. She started the engine. As she pulled away, her radio crackled to life with routine dispatch. Barking dogs, traffic stops, overdue utility calls. She turned it off. Silence was better. On the drive home, she passed the turnoff to Harvest Road. The morning light made the cornstalks glow green and gold. She hesitated, heart tightening. Part of her ached to stop, to see the field one more time in daylight. But she kept driving. That afternoon at home, she set the locket on her nightstand. She tried to read, to watch TV, to eat, but every sound reminded her of whispering corn, every shadow of dark windows. Sleep eluded her. Finally, she closed her eyes. In the silence behind her eyelids, she heard it. Faint tapping, a soft child's voice. Stay. She bolted upright. The clock read 2:17, exactly the time of the first call. Her heart thundered. She reached for her phone, but there was no missed call, no notification, just the room's quiet darkness. Next morning, she walked into the station, pale and hollow-eyed. Cole spotted her. Rough night? He asked gently. She nodded. Still hear her? She touched her pocket where the locket had slept. It was empty. She must have left it on the nightstand. She closed her eyes. She's here. Cole frowned. You want to talk, or? He offered coffee again. She managed a small smile. Yeah, black. 2 sugars. Thanks. They sat in the break room. Maya stirred her coffee absently. I think she's stuck between worlds, she said softly. She found peace when we buried her, but maybe she found me instead. Cole sipped his. Then maybe talking helps. Maybe she needs to tell her story. Mia nodded. Maybe. She glanced at her cup. The reflection of the fluorescent lights shimmered on its surface. For a moment, the ripples formed a child's face. She blinked. It vanished. That afternoon, she returned to the coroner's report. The child's remains were identified as Lily Harrows, age 6, missing since September. Manner of death, accidental drowning. Case closed. But Mia added a note. Recommend memorial marker placement at site. Witnessed by Deputy Hernandez. Unusual phenomena reported. Requires a follow-up. She filed it. Later, she visited the county commissioner to request a small plaque at the creek, a memorial for Lily Harrows. The commissioner agreed. A ceremony was set for next week. Mia arranged for Lily's family to attend. At dawn on the day of the ceremony, Mia stood by the creek bank in dress uniform. Cole and 2 other deputies flanked her. The Harrows family, a weary grandmother, a somber uncle, placed flowers by the water. Mia read a brief statement, honoring Lily's memory, acknowledging the finding of her remains, dedicating the marker. As the plaque was set, a simple stone etched Lily Harrows, age 6, beloved and remembered. A breeze rippled across the creek. The cornstalks beyond stirred. Mia's heart trembled. Then, faintly, she heard laughter, sunlit, joyful. She looked toward the field. For an instant, she saw a small figure in a red windbreaker, standing at the edge of the corn. Lily's silhouette. She raised a hand in farewell. Mia lifted her hand back, tears shining. Then the figure faded into the morning light. Cole nudged her. "She's gone," he whispered. Mia nodded, voice catching. At last, the plaque gleamed in the sun. The creek gurgled over stones. The field stood silent. Mia felt a weight lift from her chest. The tapping whisper was gone. As they walked back to their cars, Mia paused. She glanced once more at the cornstalks. Peace settled in her bones. She touched the spot where the locket had rested. It was empty, and that was right. She climbed into her Tahoe. Cole joined her. She started the engine. As they drove away, the county road stretched before them, open and bright. But Mia knew some calls never truly end, and some voices, once heard, remain in the heart. I eased my cruiser down the rutted dirt lane, tires crunching over loose gravel, the engine's idling hiss the only sound in the stillness. Moonlight pooled in shallow puddles, illuminating broken fence posts and tangled weeds that brushed the underside of the patrol car. My name's Deputy Ross, Garfield County Sheriff's Office. Been on these roads 100 times, but tonight felt different. The dispatcher's voice crackled over the radio. Silent 911 hang-ups from this location, no caller ID. Be advised, backups tied up. I clicked the mic off, heart already picking up pace. The house came into view. A sagging farmhouse framed by skeletal trees, paint peeled away like old scabs. To the right, the barn leaned drunkenly, its broken door flapping in a wind I couldn't feel. I grabbed my flashlight, stepped onto the porch. Wood groaned under my weight. The front door hung open. Inside, shadows pooled in corners. The floorboards were slick with dew, tracked in from the outside. I swept the beam across the living room, rotary phone off the hook, a toppled chair, an empty whiskey bottle rolling gently in the draft. No signs of life, no footprints beyond my own. I whispered into the radio, Ross on scene at 472 Willow Creek. House is empty, no sign of caller. Static answered. I moved deeper, flashlight illuminating peeling wallpaper and a cracked family portrait. A man, woman, 2 children, smiles frozen in time. Someone had scrawled a word on the frame in dark streaks. Leave. My gut tightened. I followed a narrow hallway toward the back of the house. Floorboards creaked underfoot. Somewhere behind me something stirred, a soft scrape, like metal against wood. I spun. Nothing. Ahead, an archway led into the kitchen. The smell hit me before I saw it. Sour, acrid, like old hay mixed with decay. On the linoleum floor lay muddy footprints, small, bare, leading toward the basement door. I flicked my light on the door, warped wood, latch broken. Radio dispatch. Deputy Ross, footprints leading below. Appears to be a child's. Request immediate assistance. Only static. I swallowed, hand tightening on my flashlight. Procedure said, wait for backup. But procedure also said, preserve life. I pushed the door open and descended. The basement air was cold, damp. My breath fogged in the beam. Old animal pens lined the walls, rusted feeding troughs lay overturned. In the center, hay was scattered as if something had struggled. My light caught movement. A small shape huddled in the far corner. Relief and apprehension warred inside me. Hey, Deputy Ross, it's okay, I'm here to help. The shape didn't move. I stepped closer. The beam revealed a little girl, maybe 6, knees drawn to her chin, rocking gently. Her hair hung in damp strands. Her dress was filthy. I crouched, reaching out. Before I could speak, she jerked upright. I stumbled back. Her face was blank, featureless, smooth skin where eyes and mouth should be. An impossible void. My heart hammered. The darkness behind her seemed to pulse. Then came the laughter, high, soft, mocking, though no lips moved. I fumbled for my radio. "Dispatch!" The laugh swallowed my words. I shone the light behind me. Nothing but concrete and shadow. When I turned back, the girl was gone, footsteps trailing into deeper darkness. Panic flared. I climbed back up, slamming the basement door. The beam of my flashlight danced across the room. I radioed again. "Backup, now. Basement clear. No sign of juvenile." Silence. Then, "Deputy Ross, please repeat." My voice shook. There was, "Never mind. Need units at Willow Creek. Now." The reply was distant. I heard the barn door creak outside. I spun, hand on my holster, and edged toward the back door. The footprints in the kitchen led outside onto the porch. Small, wet, then vanished at the edge of the moonlit yard. I stepped off the porch, every sense on high alert. The cornstalks beyond whispered in the wind. A loose board in the barn rattled. I trained my flashlight on it. The beam caught a silhouette, a child's. It stood just inside the darkness, unmoving. I called out, "Hey, come here." No response. My voice echoed. The figure slipped back, melting into shadow. I approached the barn door. Each step felt heavier. The smell of hay was stronger here, mixed with something coppery. I pushed the door open. Inside, the barn was cavernous. Moonlight filtered through holes in the roof, illuminating swirling dust motes. Shadows pooled beneath the hayloft. The air thrummed, like static before a storm. I aimed my light upward. Something shifted above. A soft thump. I announced myself. "Deputy Ross, Garland County. Show yourself." Silence, then a scraping from overhead. My flashlight beam caught something on the loft railing. A small handprint in fresh mud. I stood beneath it, heart in my throat. A crash echoed from the loft. I backed up, drawing my weapon. The barn door slammed shut outside. I spun, flashlight beam dancing across broken tools and old crates. The radio came alive. "Deputy Ross, units en route, ETA 2 minutes. 2 minutes might as well be 2 hours. I forced myself calm. Training kicked in. I edged toward the loft ladder. Each rung groaned. My gloved hand shook. At the top, I shone the light into the hayloft. Hay shifted. Then a soft, rasping whisper, "Don't leave." The words curled around me, though no mouth moved. I stepped back. The hay erupted as something lunged. A small shape, impossibly fast, crashing into me. I fell, flashlight skittering. I rolled, drawing my weapon. The beam caught the silhouette of the girl. Featureless face turned toward me. She stood motionless, head tilted. The hay beneath her feet was dry, yet I smelled damp cloth and something worse, decay. My radio crackled. "Ross, status." I swallowed. "Contact, unidentified juvenile, featureless, basement, barn loft, request immediate." The transmission garbled. When I looked again, she was gone. The loft was empty except for scattered hay. My flashlight flickered. In that dimness, I saw footprints leading out through a broken side window. I rose, adrenaline surging, and followed. Outside, the night was still. The old silo loomed. Footprints led toward it. I paused at the silo door. It hung open. Beyond, pitch black. I stepped inside, footfalls echoing. The beam caught the scrawled words on the wall. Stay. My heart thundered. I pressed forward. The circle of light revealed nothing until I neared the center. There, on the ground, lay the family portrait I'd seen upstairs, face down in the dirt. I knelt, flipping it over. The faces were gone, scraped away. A soft giggle echoed. I spun. The girl stood at the entrance, backlit by moonlight, featureless face turned toward me. She raised a hand. I swallowed, voice tight. It's okay, I'm not leaving without you. She tilted her head. The silence stretched. Then she stepped forward, and the pre-dawn sky was gravid with silence as I watched the deputies clear the barn. Every beam creaked under the weight of what had happened, and the smell of damp hay and something fouler still hung in the air. I slipped away from the others, drawn toward the old farmhouse one last time. The front door, once ajar, now hung ominously shut. My flashlight trembled in my hand as I pressed against it. Inside, the living room was frozen in the pale light of dawn. The rotary phone lay on the floor, cord coiled like a snake. I knelt, feeling the spiral of cold plastic, and noticed something new. A single muddy footprint on the wall, as if someone had climbed it. Above, the peeling wallpaper revealed a date scrawled in childish script. October 1st, 1993. My pulse thundered. The same date in the locket. The same date in Winsel's report. I followed the footprint around the corner into the hallway. There, the scrawled words in hay, "Help me," had multiplied, etched deeper into the wood. My breath hitched. I raised my flashlight to the ceiling. A loose board shifted. Behind it, faint daylight filtered through a crack. I pried it open and found a narrow crawl space, just big enough to squeeze into. My training screamed not to, but if someone needed help. I slipped inside. The crawl space was bone dry and smelled of rot. My flashlight beam caught broken family heirlooms. A child's shoe, a cracked porcelain doll, yellowed letters tied with string. I picked up a letter, the handwriting looping. They took her. Don't let them take me. The paper was brittle, the ink smudged. I slid it into my pocket. A faint thump echoed ahead. I edged forward, chest tight, every nerve alight. Suddenly, the beam illuminated a small trapdoor in the floorboards. It wasn't on any of the house plans. My heart pounded as I lifted it. Beneath lay a ladder descending into blackness. I hesitated only a second before climbing down. My boots hit concrete. I was in a subterranean room, an abandoned root cellar, repurposed. Rusted cans lined shelves. Broken crates lay strewn about. But at the center stood a crude wooden chair, restraints still fastened. The air was colder, damp against my face. On the wall, scratched desperately, "She's here!" I swept the beam around. In the corner, a shape huddled beneath a tattered blanket. Relief surged. I rushed forward. "Deputy Ross, are you okay?" I yanked back the blanket. The girl's body slumped lifeless, head lolling, hair matted, but her face featureless. Staggered back, her small chest rose and fell with slow, labored breaths. She was alive. I fumbled my radio. "Dispatch! Need medical at 472 Willow Creek Underground. Juvenile found alive." Static. No reply. I crouched beside her, heart hammering. She opened her eyes, black voids. She whispered, "He won't let me go." I shone the light upward. Footprints led back toward the ladder. Fresh adult-sized boots. Someone had been here with her. Someone who'd left. Or vanished. I lifted her gently. Her limbs were cold. I heard a scraping above. I froze. "Deputy Ross?" It was Deputy Chang's voice overhead. "We got the all clear." He stopped. "You found her?" I stabbed the ceiling hatch. Get her out, then search everywhere. They pulled her up. I followed, heart hammering. As she emerged, she stared at the barn in the pale dawn light. They're hungry, she rasped. We have to feed them. I glanced at my fellow deputies. Their faces went pale. Behind us, the farmhouse windows darkened, as if something passed by. The little girl vanished into Chang's arms. He spun. She was gone, leaving only the blanket. Silence. Then a single haystack drifted down from the barn roof, landing at my feet. I picked it up. Closer inspection. A single dark droplet, like blood, matted at its tip. I radioed dispatch. Ross, status update? My voice shook. We need hazmat and a full structural burn permit. This place is compromised. Understood, came the reply. I turned to the farm. The silo door creaked open slowly, though no wind stirred. Inside, moonlight lingered, and in its center the floorboards were scraped clean. No locket, no photo, only the words, "Feed me." As the sun rose, deputies set up lights and cameras. I stepped back, watching. The girl's voice echoed in my mind. They're hungry. I shivered. The air seemed to pulse with waiting. I pocketed the haystack. On it, in tiny script, was carved a name. Wenzel. The connection was clear. The spontaneous combustion victim, the farmhouse, the girl, the hunger. I whispered to the wind, I won't leave. But as I walked away, the barn door slammed shut, and I heard that soft, mocking laughter drifting after me through the corn. The hunger was not sated, and neither was the mystery. The morning light turned harsh as the hazmat crew unrolled their yellow tarps across the cracked porch boards. I stayed back, heart pounding, watching deputies in biosuits step through the threshold one by one, their respirators hissing. The farmhouse seemed to pulse. Around them, its windows like dark eyes following every move. I fingered the blood-tipped haystack in my pocket, its weight heavier than any bullet I'd ever carried. Behind me, Sergeant Chang crouched by the barn's side window, shining his light into the silo's yawning mouth. "Ross," he called softly, voice trembling. "You need to see this." I joined him. Inside the silo, the ground was scraped bare in a perfect circle. The words "Feed me" charred into the concrete center. But around that circle lay a ring of blackened earth and tiny depressions. Footprints too small for any child, too numerous for a single entity. They spiraled inward, as if dozens of creatures had paced, waiting. My radio crackled. "Deputy Ross, HQ wants a full readout. Are you stable?" I tapped the mic. "Give me 10. I clicked off. Chang peered through the mesh of his mask. "What the hell are those prints?" I knelt, brushing dust aside. Each print had the shape of a small hand. 5 stubby fingers splayed. But they were uneven, some elongated, some twisted. My skin crawled. "They're not human, not entirely." I stood, voice hollow. "We're dealing with something that's been here long before Wenzel's case, before this farm was built." We backed away as the hazmat team approached the silo. A senior officer motioned, "Clear this area. We're locking it down." Chang and I obeyed, but I lingered, staring at the ladder descending into darkness. That ladder had delivered me to the root cellar where the girl lay, alive and spectral. I realized I still carried the photo from the farmhouse hallway, faces scraped away, date scrawled. I pulled it out, October 1st, 1993. The same date on the locket, the wall, the phone's handset. The same date as Paul Weldon's combustion. A gust of wind rattled the silo door. I slipped the photo into my pocket and turned toward the barn. The structure groaned as though settling. Yet the deputies had cleared it and found nothing. I walked around the barn's perimeter, boots crunching on shattered wood. At the far end, the ground sloped toward an overgrown drainage ditch. There, half buried in mud, lay a charred scrap of paper. I pried it free, a child's drawing of a house, ours, beneath a sun with jagged rays. On the back, scrawled in the same childish hand, "They remember me." My breath caught. I snapped on gloves and photographed it. Chang joined me, peering over my shoulder. "They? Who's they?" he whispered. I shook my head. "That girl, she said they're hungry. I think this place has memories, and it feeds on them." Overhead, a helicopter's spotlight swept across the fields. Media had arrived. I hated cameras, but this was bigger than protocol. I radioed dispatch. "Ross to HQ, request psychological unit and historical archives. We need everything on spontaneous combustion cases and missing children in Garfield County since '90. The reply, "Copy that. ETA units 30 minutes. 30 minutes stretched like hours. Chang and I set up a perimeter around the barn and silo. I paced, mind racing. Every sound felt amplified. The distant whinny of a horse, the creak of a fence post, the labored breathing in my own chest. I kept expecting to hear that mocking laughter. Instead, there was only the hush of wind through the cornstalks. Then Chang stiffened. "Ross, look." I followed his gaze to the farmhouse porch. The front door, which had been sealed by hazmat tape, now swung open just a crack. No one was near. I moved in, shotgun raised. The tape fluttered like a broken promise. I stepped inside. The living room was empty, but the rotary phone lay face up on the floor, handset in the cradle, as if someone had just replaced it. Its cord curled toward the hallway. I swallowed hard. "This thing, it's playing us." I radioed Chang. "Keep everyone back. Do not let anyone inside." He acknowledged. I followed the phone cord into the hallway. The footprints on the wall led past the crawlspace entrance, then upward along the wall toward the attic hatch. My flashlight beam caught more writing between floorboards. "Remember her." I paused at the attic door. It was latched from above. I lifted it and the hinges groaned. Darkness spilled down. I climbed the narrow stairs, each step protesting under my weight. At the top, I stood in the attic's low ceiling, breathing dust and memories. The beam revealed old furniture draped in sheets, trunks stacked in corners. At the far end, a single child's rocking horse sat, its paint chipped, mane matted. I approached. The horse's eyes, glass, caught the light and seemed to glint. On its saddle lay a small notebook. I picked it up. Inside, drawings of the girl, the silo, the barn, all dated October '93. On the last page, a single line. "If you find this, help me remember." Beneath, an ink-smudged fingerprint. My radio crackled. "Ross, psych unit on site. Historical team arriving." I tapped back. "Hold position." I closed the notebook. A sound made me whip around, a soft scuff behind a sheet. I yanked the cover away, an old trunk. It rattled. I paused, hand on my holster. The trunk lid creaked open on its own. Inside lay a child's dress, identical to the one the girl wore, yellowed with age and stained dark. I lifted it gingerly. The second it left the trunk, 1,000 whispers filled the attic, like children chanting. I dropped the dress. The whispers crescendoed, then cut off. Silence. My flashlight flickered. I heard it then, a sob, faint, coming from the far corner. I trained to the beam. The little girl sat on the floor, knees drawn up, head bowed. I swallowed. "Deputy Ross," I said softly. "I'm here." She tilted her head. The featureless face slowly resolved into a tear-streaked child's face. Eyes now black pools, glistening. She whispered, "I forgot." My heart twisted. "You need to remember, kid. You need to tell me what happened." She stood and stepped forward. In the beam, I saw her footprints on the wooden planks, wet, fresh, and behind her another set. Many, circling like vultures. She pointed to the trunk. I nodded. She lifted the dress and held it out. I took it. The moment our skin touched fabric, the attic shook. Boards splintered. Dust rained down. We bolted for the hatch as the whispers turned to screams. I hauled her up and tumbled through into the hallway. The attic door slammed. We raced outside into the pale dawn. Chang met us, eyes wide. The girl clung to me, silent. I looked back at the house. The attic window curtains fluttered, though no breeze stirred. In that window stood dozens of pale faces, children's faces, pressing against the glass, mouths open in silent pleas. Then they vanished. The farmhouse went still. The girl stiffened in my arms and whispered, "They remember me now." I radioed, "We've got survivors, one juvenile. Evacuate the house and burn the barn and silo at first light." Chang helped carry her to the cruiser. As we drove away, the farmhouse receded into the waking farmland. Yet, through the rear window, I saw the attic window once more. A single pale face pressed to the glass, and its eyes met mine. A child's whisper drifted on the wind, "Stay with us." I gripped the wheel. The hunger was growing, and we had only just begun to feed it. I slowed the cruiser as the farmland blurred past, the child's whisper still echoing in my mind. "Stay with us." Sergeant Chang sat beside me, securing the girl in the back seat. Dawn's pale light revealed the endless rows of corn, silent sentinels to the horrors we'd unearthed. "Ross," Chang murmured, voice tight. "What now?" I glanced at the farmhouse in the rearview mirror. Its windows were dark voids, but I could almost sense movement behind the glass. Those pale faces watching, waiting. I closed my eyes. "We take her somewhere safe, then we burn it all down." Chang nodded, radioing the command post. "Victim secured. Request tow and burn detail for 472 Willow Creek Road." He clicked off. The dispatcher's dry voice crackled back. "Copy that. You're clear to evacuate and burn on my authorization." We drove in silence to the county medical center. The girl huddled in the back, clutching the yellowed dress. As we pulled up, the hazmat and forensic teams swarmed the scene behind us. I opened my door and unbuckled her seatbelt. "Let's get you inside," I said softly. She stepped out, pausing under the neon sign. "Garfield County Medical Center." She looked back toward the road, eyes hard. "They're coming," she whispered. Inside, the bright fluorescent lights and antiseptic smell felt wrong. I led her to a private examination room where a nurse in scrubs met us. "Deputy Ross, medical staff are ready," the nurse said. I crouched beside the girl. "You're safe now. They can't hurt you here." She nodded once, expression blank. I slipped the locket photograph from my pocket and set it on the tray. "This might help you remember." The nurse began her examination. I stepped into the hallway and radioed Chang. "She's secure. Proceed with burn detail," he replied. "Underway. County fire units are en route with incendiaries." I exhaled. It felt surreal, say, ordering the destruction of the barn and silo that had housed something so ancient. In the waiting area, I reviewed my notes. The girl's notebook from the attic, the scrap of drawing stamped with "They remember me," the charred words "Feed me," all pointed to a force tied to memory and suffering. Then there was Winsel's case. Spontaneous combustion with no logical cause. The date, October 1st, 1993, kept surfacing. Whatever entity lurked at Willow Creek fed on trauma, on fear, and perhaps on fire itself. A voice broke my reverie. Chang approached, grim. They found another body. My gut dropped. Where? In the silo. Fire crew opened it to set charges. There, down in the pit, they found skeletal remains. A child's skeleton chained to the center post. I followed him outside, boots crunching on gravel. The silo door stood open. Investigators gathered around the pit. They'd cleared the charred circle and removed the boards. A tarp covered the remains. I swallowed and stepped closer as they pulled it back. Small bones, brittle with age. A tiny skeleton curled on its side. No sign of clothing, just the chain around its ankle, rusted iron biting into bone. My stomach turned. I recognized the posture from the girl's drawing, the house beneath the jagged sun. This child had been left to die in darkness. The date carved into the silo floor, October 1st, 1993, matched the day she'd been betrayed. Chang shook his head. God, why would someone do this? I looked up at the silo walls, scrawled in deep gouges, "Feed us." A chorus of whispers rose on the wind. Dozens of small voices, pleading, chanting, "Feed us, remember us." I staggered back. The horde of pale faces from the attic flashed behind my eyes. They weren't ghosts in the usual sense. They were echoes of forgotten children, trapped in that place, hungering for remembrance and release. The little girl had been the key, the one whose memories unlocked the trap. Suddenly, the girl's voice rang out behind me. They remember me now. She stood at the silo lip, face pale but features whole. They need to feed. I realized with a cold clarity. The only way to free them was fire. The blaze would consume the farm, and their tether to the living world. Without it, their hunger would fade. I turned to Chang. "Start the burn, everything goes, barn, silo, farmhouse, set it all." He called it in. Within minutes, fire engines rolled onto the field, hoses snaking across the grass. Deputies cleared the perimeter. Reporters and onlookers held back by yellow tape. I stayed beside the girl as the first ignition was lit at the barn's base. Flames licked the wood, swallowing it in an orange roar. The girl watched, silent. As the fire spread, I heard the children's whispers transform into a keening wail, fading, then rising in a final crescendo. The barn timbers creaked, then collapsed inward. Heat washed over us. Smoke curled skyward, carrying the memories of decades. The silo charges detonated in a controlled burst. Concrete cracked and fell. The farmhouse windows shattered as flames engulfed the porch. Through the smoke, I glimpsed the little girl's silhouette. She turned to me, eyes wet. "Thank you," she whispered. "They can rest now." I nodded, voice thick. "Go on, find peace." She stepped toward the inferno and vanished into the flames. I blinked. Where she'd stood was only heat and ash. The fire crew doused hotspots. By midday, only smoldering ruins remained. I picked up the blood-tipped haystack from the ground. It lay untouched, the word Winslow still etched on its surface. I pocketed it. This case would go down in county history. The farm fire of Willow Creek, 6 missing children finally laid to rest. But as I turned away, my radio crackled one last time with static, and beneath it a single soft whisper, "Don't forget me." I froze, heart in my throat. Then I slipped the haystack into evidence, clipped the report together, and walked back to my cruiser. The farmland stretched silent and empty, but I knew the echoes would remain, in cold cases, in nightmares, in the crackle of every radio. The world beyond the fire line was muted, ash drifting like snow through the pale morning light. I stood by the smoldering ruins of Willow Creek Farm, the heat still radiating from charred timbers and collapsed silo walls. My uniform was streaked with soot. My hands shook as I fingered the blood-tipped haystack I'd kept as evidence. Around me, deputies and fire crews moved methodically, extinguishing hotspots, collecting samples, sealing off the acreage. I looked down at the ground where the little girl had vanished into flames. There was no footprint, no sign she'd ever existed. Only a single yellowed dress sleeve, half burned, lying amid the ash. I knelt and retrieved it, placing it gently in an evidence bag. It felt like holding a ghost's memory. Sergeant Chang approached, eyes weary. "They're loading the remains now," he said softly. Child skeleton from the silo, identified as Emily Carter, missing since '93. I swallowed. Emily Carter, her name matched the diary entries in that attic notebook. The girl I'd carried, who'd whispered, "They're hungry," had been Emily. The faces in the attic window, the scattered footprints, the charred words, "Feed us" and "Remember her," they'd all pointed to her. She'd been trapped for 32 years, unloved, forgotten, starving for remembrance. Chang crouched beside me. "What happens now?" I breathed in the smoky air. "We file the reports. The farm gets bulldozed. We recommend a memorial for Emily and the others. Bring their names into daylight." I paused. "But I don't think this is over." He looked at me, puzzled. "You mean supernatural?" I shook my head. "I mean memory, trauma. Places remember what we forget. We burned the farm, but every witness here now carries a piece of that horror in their mind. As long as someone remembers, Emily's spirit and the others lives on. But if we forget," I let the words hang. A sudden breeze stirred the ash at our feet, forming a swirl that coalesced into a shape, a child's silhouette, before dissipating. Chang stiffened. I raised my flashlight, but the shape was gone. Only the swirl of ash remained, drifting toward the charred barn door. I tapped the evidence bag. "This dress, the locket, the notebook, they go to the Historical Society. We publish everything. We keep their story alive." He nodded. "I'll handle the press. You okay to testify?" I glanced at the farmhouse ruins, windows like empty eye sockets. "I'll be fine," I said, though my voice trembled. Inside me, the echo of children's whispers still lingered, a chorus of tiny voices begging not to be forgotten. As the last fire engine departed, I walked the perimeter one more time. The field was silent. The corn beyond had been trampled, blackened. At the edge of the property, I spotted something dark against the ash. A small, soot-blackened teddy bear. I picked it up. One button eye remained, the other was gone, leaving only a hollow socket. I held it for a moment, remembering Emily's blank, featureless face transforming into tear-streaked recognition. I tucked the bear into my coat pocket. "We remember," I whispered. A deputy called out, "Ross, civil engineers here to start demolition." I turned, nodding. As I strode toward the cruiser, the ground beneath me shifted, a faint tremor, as if the earth exhaled. I paused, hand on the door. Behind me, the barn door creaked on its own, though the structure had been gutted. I didn't look back. I slid into the cruiser and closed the door, locking it. Through the soot-spattered window, I watched the ruin. The door swung shut with a final, hollow thud. My radio crackled. "Deputy Ross, are you clear to depart?" 10-4, I replied, engine rumbling to life. As I pulled onto the dirt lane, I glanced in the rearview mirror. The farmhouse lay silent, but in the attic window I swear I saw a small handprint appear on the glass, smudged from the inside. I blinked. The print remained, then faded into the pale light. The cruiser's engine idled as I watched the last wisp of smoke curl from the ruined silo. The field lay silent under the rising sun, every stalk of corn bowed in blackened rows. I stepped out, the gravel crunching beneath my boots, and walked toward the wreckage. Even scorched, the farmhouse frame loomed like a gaunt skeleton, its windows empty eye sockets staring east. In my coat pocket, the charcoal-stained teddy bear pressed against my hip, a mute reminder of Emily Carter's brief return. I drew it out and turned it over in my hand, its remaining button eye glinting dully. Around me, deputies and engineers marked the perimeter for demolition. Beyond that, curious neighbors peeked from behind their cars, cell phone cameras trained on the ruin. I tucked the bear back and moved to the edge of the silo pit. The child's skeleton was gone, removed for forensics, but the concrete circle remained, its charred inscription, "Feed us," eerily pristine. I knelt and traced a finger over the letters. Heat still radiated from the center, though hours had passed. The earth beneath was soft, as if breathing. A voice came over my radio. "Ross, evidence team wants to dust the area for prints. You available?" I clicked the mic. "On my way." I led the tech down into the pit, careful of loose boards and ash. She photographed the walls, then sprinkled powder along the floor. As the brush swept away excess, dozens of tiny hand-shaped prints emerged, just like the ones in the barn loft. They formed a spiral pointing outward, ending at the ladder hatch. My jaw tightened. "They want to be seen," I murmured. The tech nodded, snapping photos. I climbed out and surveyed the farm once more. Somewhere in these ruins lay the memories of children forgotten by time. Emily and the others. We'd burned the buildings, but their echoes remained in every footprint, every scrap of evidence. I turned toward the demolished barn. A deputy approached, holding a charred plank. On it, faintly etched, "Remember us." He looked at me, pale. "They're still here, aren't they?" I exhaled. "As long as we remember, they never truly leave." He swallowed. "What do we do with this?" He tapped the plank. "We archive it," I said. "We memorialize them. Publish the stories. Preserve the artifacts. Every report, every photo goes into the county museum. We build a plaque. In memory of the children of Willow Creek Farm, 1980 to 1993. He nodded, relief and sorrow mingling in his eyes. Behind us, the wind stirred the ash. I felt a soft brush against my leg, a single yellowed corn leaf drifting down. I looked up. The farmhouse attic window, broken and black, framed an empty sky. For a moment, I thought I saw a small handprint form on the glass, then fade. I shivered. "Time to go," I said. We walked back to the cruiser. I paused at the edge of the field and looked east, where the morning light stretched across the horizon. The memory of laughter, the girls' laughter, echoed in my mind, distant but clear. My radio crackled one last time. "Ross, burn detail complete." "You clear to demobilize?" I clicked the mic. 10-4, all units clear. As I slid into the driver's seat, I patted the teddy bear in my pocket. "We remember," I whispered. The engine roared, and I pulled away, leaving the silent farm behind. But in the rearview mirror, the cornfield seemed to ripple, as though something watched me go, something small and pale, standing just beyond the edge of ruin, its blank face turned toward the rising sun. And in that fleeting silhouette, I knew their story would endure, so long as someone kept telling it. I step out of my cruiser into a silence so thick it presses against my chest like water. The dashboard clock reads 003. I radio in. Unit 7 on scene at the Miller farmstead. No movement, no lights, no response. The dispatch acknowledgement crackles and dies. Out here, the signal's garbage. I already knew that before I rolled down County Road 42. I knew what isolation felt like. I just didn't know how deep it could cut. The porch sagged under peeling paint, its single bulb shattered long ago. My boots crunched over gravel and broken glass as I moved toward the open front door. Flashlight in one hand, service pistol in the other. The beam danced over the warped wood floor, illuminating overturned chairs and a coffee mug on its side, its dark contents long since evaporated. My breath fogged in the cold air. The smell of damp hay drifted in from somewhere deeper in the house, mixed with something metallic I couldn't place. Blood? Rust? Old memory? I swept the living room, then advanced down a hallway where the wallpaper peeled like shedding skin. Every house in these parts looked abandoned. Most were. But this one felt watched. The beam settled on scuff marks at the base of a door. Boots dragged sideways like someone tried to hold their footing against a sudden shove. I pressed my palm against the cool wood. Behind it, nothing but silence. A soft thump came from upstairs. Protocol screamed for me to call backup. I should have. But I climbed anyway, each step groaning beneath me. The top, the hallway stretched into darkness. The only door ajar was the master bedroom. Inside, moonlight slanted across a mattress stripped bare. The springs glinted like exposed ribs. On the nightstand, the phone lay face down, its cord cut. My radio fizzed with static, then cleared. Unit 7, be advised. Silent 911 calls keep coming from that location. We're dispatching another unit. Relief washed through me. I exhaled and refocused on the room. The window overlooked the barn silo half a football field away. The barn door creaked, a delayed echo of my heartbeat. I stepped back into the hallway. Then I heard it. A faint scratching, like fingernails on wood, coming from the attic hatch above. My pulse jumped. I scanned for stairs, found a short ladder built into the wall. The attic hatch sat open, darkness yawning upward. I radioed again, voice tighter. I've got movement above me. Request immediate backup. The dispatcher's voice hesitated, then, copy that. ETA 4 minutes. 4 minutes might as well be 4 hours. I climbed into the attic. The beam revealed old furniture draped in moth-eaten sheets, spiderwebs thick as curtains. Every breath stirred dust motes that glowed in the flashlight. Then the beam caught something at the far end. A silhouette hunched over a broken trunk. I stepped forward. The figure turned with a sudden snap, too fast. I raised my weapon. Hands where I can see them, I barked. The thing, man, woman, I couldn't tell, stood upright. Its coveralls were caked in mud. Its head lolled, and when it spoke, the voice was mine. Deputy Ross, you came back. My legs locked. The figure lifted a hand and pointed at me. Long, thin fingers ended in dark stains. You forgot me, it said. I swallowed. Who are you? It smiled, and in that grin, I saw my own teeth. My jaw dropped. The attic spun. I fired a warning shot at the wall. The bullet tore plaster and wood, sending a shower of debris. The figure dissolved into a puff of dust and static, like an interrupted broadcast. My heart thundered. I radioed. I'm something just... Never mind, I need backup now. The radio crackled and went silent. I sank to one knee, flashlight trembling. The attic hatch behind me closed with a soft click. In the sudden hush, I heard a whisper. Thank you for coming home. I bolted for the stairs. Behind me, the attic light flickered once, twice, and died. I burst through the front door as headlights swept across the yard. 2 patrol cars rolled in, guns drawn. I holstered and raised my hands. It's okay, I've got it. They fanned out. I pointed at the house. Search upstairs, attic first. They moved in. I stayed by the cruiser, chest heaving, replaying the vision. When backup radioed that the attic was empty, no trunk, no figure, no cuts in the mattress, I knew they wouldn't believe me. No prints, no blood, no evidence of any intruder. Just my word against a house full of shadows. But I'd seen it, felt it, heard that whisper in my bones. I watched the barn silo through the cracked windshield. The moonlight glinted off the rusted metal. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of hay and something fouler, like old regrets. I thumbed the radio. Dispatch, Deputy Ross, I'm clear. Requesting permission to secure the scene and collect statements. Copy that, Unit 7, County Sheriff's team en route. I climbed out and walked toward the barn. The second I stepped onto the wooden ramp, the door slammed shut behind me. I yanked it open, empty. The beam skittered across bales of hay, then landed on muddy footprints leading into the shadows between the stalls. I followed. The prints ended at a silo ladder. I looked up. The rungs disappeared into darkness. I hesitated, should have waited. But I climbed, each metal rung cold beneath my gloves. At the top, the hatch lay open. I poked my head out. The night air was sharp. Below, the farm lay silent. Then I saw it, my cruiser headlights aimed not at the house but at the tree line behind me. A shape stood there, tall, impossibly still. I snapped my light on. Nothing. The shape dissolved into shadow. I shivered. I climbed down. The barn door creaked open as I approached. I didn't wait for backup. I walked straight back to my cruiser, slammed the door, and drove off. As I passed the farmhouse, the porch light flickered on for a single heartbeat, then died. Back at the station, I sat before the mic, trying to write the report. How do you document seeing your own face on something that shouldn't exist? How do you record a whisper with no recorder? I left blanks in the form. Chief can fill them later. I keep the cruiser parked outside tonight. I leave the spotlight trained on the tree line where the shape vanished. I leave the engine running, radio on, waiting for that dispatcher's voice. Because I know it will come. Silent call, static burst, whisper through the speaker. Thank you for coming home. And I'll answer, because I have to know who or what still lives on that farm. I climb out of my cruiser into the night again. Only this time the air feels heavier, as though I've disturbed something that was waiting. The headlights fade behind me, and the engine's rumble dies away, leaving nothing but the soft scuff of my boots on gravel. My flashlight beam slices a narrow path through the darkness, illuminating broken fence posts and the outline of the barn where I nearly lost my nerve. I head for the barn door. It hangs slightly ajar, as if inviting me in. My hand hovers on the handle, then pushes. The door swings open with a protest, revealing rows of stacked hay bales that climb toward the rafters. The smell of dry straw is overpowering, mixed with a damp, earthy scent that suggests something has been living here. My breath catches. I step inside, flashlight tracing the edges of shadow. The footprints I saw earlier are gone. No muddy prints, no sign that anyone or anything climbed that ladder. It's as if the barn never held an intruder. Yet I know what I saw. The shape in the silo, the whisper on the breeze. I press on, circling the hay bales, every nerve on high alert. The beam lands on a smear of dark stains along the floorboards, old blood, long dried. My pulse spikes. I kneel, fingertips brushing the rough wood. There's a splintered edge where something was pried open, perhaps a secret compartment. I shine the light upward at the loft. The ladder rungs end in darkness. I should call backup. I should wait. But curiosity and something darker drives me up. Each rung creaks under my weight. The loft floor is covered in dust so thick that my footsteps leave clear prints. The beam finds an old trunk, half hidden beneath a tarp. I pull the tarp away. The trunk's hasp is broken. The lid sags. I lift the lid. Inside lies a collection of objects. A cracked porcelain doll, its eyes gouged, a rusted horseshoe, a tarnished sheriff's badge stamped Garfield County that isn't mine, and a stack of photos bound with twine. I lift the top photo. It's grainy. A black and white shot of this very farmhouse, but decades old. In front stand two figures. One is a weathered man in coveralls, the other is me. I stare, my uniform, my face, my posture, but the date scrawled on the back reads 1978. A low moan echoes through the loft. I snap the photo down. The moan becomes a scrape, like nails dragged across wood. The trunk lid slams shut of its own accord. I spin, flashlight sweeping. Nothing. My radio crackles. "Unit 7, are you there?" The voice is distant, tinny. Relief and frustration war inside me. I twist the radio knob. "I'm busy. I'll check in soon." I tuck the badge and photos into my jacket. My glove brushes something cold on the floor. I kneel and pick up a tarnished pocket watch, its glass face cracked. The hands spin wildly, then stop at 1:48. My watch reads 00:15. I pocket it. A whisper drifts from the rafters. "Time's up." I scramble down the ladder, heart pounding. The barn door is closed. I shove, but it won't budge. I draw my pistol. A single beam of light from the silo window catches on metal near the door's edge. A latch has snapped into place. From outside comes the soft thud of hoofbeats. I swing around. Nothing. The barn walls seem to lean inward, the hay bales taller, pressing me into a shrinking pocket of space. The radio crackles again. "Unit 7, what's your status?" I don't answer. I press my back against the door, flashlight trained on the gloom. The air grows colder. My breath puffs white. Then I hear it. Footsteps in the loft above. Slow, deliberate. Someone, or something, is walking the length of the floor. I slide the muzzle of my pistol under the door gap and fire twice. The shots echo like thunder. The hoofbeats stop. The latch clicks. Unlocked. I wrench the door open and dive out, stumbling into the mud. I don't stop running until I reach my cruiser. I fling the door open, slide inside, and lock it. The engine roars to life before I even turn the key. As I peel away, I glance in the rearview mirror. The barn stands empty, silent, as though nothing happened. But in the corner of the loft window, I see a flash of movement. Two eyes reflecting my headlights, then gone. At the station, they find me pale, shaking, clutching that old badge and the pocket watch. The photos slipped under evidence. They ask questions. I give facts. They say no one else saw anything. The silo is empty. The loft shows no footprints. The farmhouse shows no sign of forced entry. Yet I know what I carried out in my jacket. Later, alone in my office, I examine the photos again. Under the figure beside me, faint handwriting. Waiting. I set the photo down. The pocket watch ticks once, then stops. I leave the watch on my desk, open. The hands spin backward. Outside, the moon dips behind a cloud. The radio crackles. A silent 911 call. I reach for it. "Unit 7, I say, voice steady. "I'm on my way." And I drive back into the night, because I know something out there still bears my face, still wears my badge, still waits for me to come home. The fluorescent glare in the evidence locker stung my eyes. Each harsh tube light a reminder I was still alive, and under watch. I sat on the metal stool, heart hammering. hands slick around that tarnished Garfield County badge and the cracked pocket watch. The muted click of the door latch sounded like thunder in the quiet room. I forced my breathing slow, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Police training, crisis stabilization. But none of it chased away the image of those hollow eyes in the silo. My partner, Deputy Nguyen, hovered in the doorway, face pale beneath the brim of his patrol cap. He cleared his throat. "Ross, Captain wants a status update. You okay?" I swallowed. The words lodged in my throat. I'm fine," I lied, lifting the pocket watch. The hands were frozen at 1:48. "But look at this." He stepped forward, expression unreadable. He traced a finger around the cracked glass. "It's broken." "Not just broken." I tapped the face. Stopped right when I saw whatever that was. My voice cracked. I jerked my head toward the locker's far corner, where the farmhouse photos lay stacked under evidence tape. "And these." He flipped through the grainy black and whites. Me in 1978, me now, standing beside a weathered farmer's silhouette I didn't recognize. "This is impossible," Nguyen whispered. "You weren't born until 84. "I know." My fingers trembled around the badge I lifted from the trunk. And that badge, mine, dated 1978. Someone was wearing my face back then. He looked up, eyes hard. "You sure you didn't pick up someone else's badge, maybe a collector's piece?" I slammed the badge on the table. "It was in that trunk in the silo, next to that doll and the photos, and the moment I picked it up, I heard that whisper, 'Time's up.'" Then the barn door locked behind me. Nguyen's jaw tightened. He's a good cop, by the book. He wants logic, evidence, protocols. But I saw the same fear in his eyes I felt in the barn. "We'll run prints, test the metal, check the watch mechanism. If there's any rational explanation, do it." I stood. My legs felt unsteady, like old machinery misaligned. "But I'm going back?" His lips parted. "You can't." Captain said secure the scene. Wait for forensics. I'm not waiting. I shoved the badge into my jacket pocket. "Something's out there. It knows me. It's waiting. I have to find out what." He hesitated, then nodded. "I'll cover you." Outside, the night air hit me like a wall. The station's parking lot was empty except for our cruisers. My rig's spotlight still trained on the tree line, spinning lazily. I climbed in, engine already running. Nguyen slid into the passenger seat, face lit by dashboard glow. Between us lay the evidence bag, badge, watch, photos. I shifted into drive. "Take me back to County Road 42, the Miller farmstead." Nguyen swallowed. "You sure?" I nodded. More sure than anything else. We rolled down the intercom windows. The wind carried the damp scent of hay and pine. The radio was silent. I flicked on the siren briefly, just enough to crackle, then shut it off. No point calling attention. We followed the same route, the road curving through dense forest, gravel spitting beneath the tires, moonlight glancing off the rusted fence posts. Halfway there, Nguyen cleared his throat. "Ross, what if this thing, you saw it, heard it? What if it's tied to you? Like a doppelganger myth or some folklore?" I glanced at him. "Deputy folklore? Sure. Doppelgangers are harbingers of death in German tales. But this felt different. It wasn't just a copy of me, it was angry, waiting for me to come back." He swallowed. "Well, let's not keep it waiting." We reached the farmstead. The house sat in the same dead quiet, windows like blind eyes. The barn loomed beyond, silent sentinel. I killed the headlights. We sat in darkness for a moment. Then I unbuckled. "Stay close," I whispered. We approached the barn ramp. I carried the flashlight, and Nguyen had his pistol drawn. Each step echoed. No wind stirred, no animal calls. The world held its breath. At the barn door, I paused. The wood was warm from earlier, but the latch hung open. I slid inside. The hay smell was stronger now, sweet and rancid. My beam swept across the floor. No footprints, no smear of blood. The trunk was gone. The old ladder lay flat on the ground, as if torn out. I swallowed hard. It moved. Nguyen's light joined mine, revealing a fresh disturbance. The hay bales shifted. One corner pulled back. Underneath lay the rotted floorboards, newly broken. I pried at them. They gave way to reveal a narrow crawl space descending into darkness. My pulse spiked. This wasn't here before. He trained his light down the gap. Only one way to find out. I knelt and shone the beam along the tunnel. Damp earth walls, wooden supports. The air pulsed with a low hum, like distant voices. I radioed, no answer. The tunnel swallowed sound. I slid inside, body half in, half out. Nguyen followed, pistol raised. We crept forward, flashlight beams dancing on earthen walls. The hum grew louder, a chorus of whispers just beyond comprehension. My head throbbed. I clenched my teeth, forced focus on each step. The tunnel angled downward. Roots brushed my arms. Soil crumbled under my knees. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a chamber carved beneath the silo. Wooden beams held up a dirt ceiling. In the center lay a crude shrine. The porcelain doll perched on a bale. The sheriff's badge hammered onto a plank. The pocket watch draped over a rusty nail. Surrounding them were dozens of photos pinned to the walls. Grainy shots of me on every shift, every angle, every uniform since I joined the force. Some were fresh, others yellowed. The earliest dated 1972, 6 years before I was born. My breath hitched. How? Why? Nguyen's flashlight swung to the far wall, where a single message was scrawled in mud. Thank you for coming home. A rush of air extinguished our lights. Total darkness pressed in. The whispers swelled into a roar of indistinct voices. I fumbled for my radio. Dead. My pistol light clicked off. The battery died. Panic clawed at me. Ross! Nguyen hissed. We need to move, now! I backed toward the tunnel mouth. The whispers followed, urgent, pleading. Stay, stay, finish, come home. My mind reeled. I shook my head. No. I lunged upward into the tunnel. Nguyen scrambled behind. We tumbled out into the barn, coughing in the stale air. I slammed the hatch. We raced outside, hearts pounding so loud I feared they'd give us away. The barn door creaked. I dared a glance. The silo ladder swayed gently, though no breeze stirred. The top hatch opened, and 2 hollow eyes peered down at us. My eyes. The thing smiled, lipless and wide. Then it ducked back inside. I slammed the barn door shut and wedged a beam under the handle. We didn't speak. We ran to the cruiser and tore away, tires spitting mud. Behind us, the farmhouse lights blinked on in rapid sequence, one by one, like a heartbeat. Then all went dark. We didn't stop until the station lights came into view. I leaped out, hands shaking, and locked the cruiser. Nguyen stayed behind, pale and silent. Inside, I wiped the mud from my badge. The pocket watch lay on the dash, hands slowly spinning backward. I caught Nguyen's eye. I'm done, he nodded. Report it, all of it. I sat before the chief's desk, evidence laid out. I told him about the tunnel, the shrine, I close my eyes and exhale. Tomorrow I'll return. Because the journal ends with one final line dated April 24th, 2025. Returning once more. The farm waits. Time's up. And beneath it, in fresh ink, my signature. The cab of my cruiser smells of damp wool and oil, my nerves still raw. The radio sits silent, but I know it's listening. The station clock just turned 3:03. I've been here before, same hour, same restless tension. Deputy Nguyen's cruiser idles beside me. Engine off, lights low. Neither of us speaks. We both know the farm won't let this end. I gather my gear, flashlight, service pistol, leather gloves. I slide the journal, badge, and pocket watch into my coat pocket. Nguyen checks his weapon. We step into the chill night together. The road is empty. The mist clings to our uniforms. As we crest the final rise, the farmhouse materializes through the fog. Windows dark, porch empty. Then the barn, its silhouette etched in silver moonlight. The world holds its breath. I approach the barn door first. The wood is warm from earlier fires of fear and curiosity. I push it open. The hay inside stirs as if exhaling. Footprints, my footprints, lead from the door to the loft ladder. They're fresh. Nguyen shines his light on the tunnel entrance in the floorboards. The earth hums below. I glance at him. He nods. We descend into the darkness. The chamber beneath the silo yawns open. The shrine is gone. The photos drift in a circle as if caught in an unseen breeze. The whispers surge, urgent. Finish, come home, time's up. I step forward, heart pounding. The beam lands on the far wall, where mud has been scraped away to reveal a hidden door frame. Beyond it lies utter black. My hand brushes the frame. It's warm, pulsing like a beating heart. Ready? Nguyen's voice is a whisper. I grip his shoulder. After you. We slip through the frame into a corridor carved of living earth. The air is thick, scented with root and decay. Soft light glows ahead, pale, phosphorescent. We follow. The corridor opens into a vaulted chamber. At its center stands a weathered rocking chair facing a broken window high above. Moonlight streams through, illuminating the chair, and someone seated in it. I freeze. The figure's back is to me. Its shoulders rise and fall in slow rhythm. The rocking creaks. "Deputy Ross," it says, my voice gentle, lined with fatigue. "You came back." I swallow. "Who are you?" It turns. Hollow eyes, my eyes, stare out from a gaunt face framed by silver hair. The uniform it wears is faded, threadbare, decades old. The badge on its chest is mine, rusted, worn, stamped 1972. "I am you," it says, "and I have been waiting." The chair stops rocking. Silence plunges in. The whispers fall away. I step closer. "Why?" I whisper. "It's time," it says. "Time to finish the story. Time to make it right." I glance at Nguyen. He shines his light on the journal in my hand. The final blank pages flutter. I open to the last entry. Empty, waiting. My doppelganger stands and extends a trembling hand. "Write it," it urges. "Write the ending." My heart hammers. I pull the journal free, pen in hand. The air vibrates. The pocket watch in my pocket ticks backward, then forward, then stops. The barn trembles. I kneel by the rocking chair and begin to write. I came back because the farm calls me home. I came back to face what I unleashed decades ago. As I write, the figure's features soften, hollow eyes filling with light. The whispers return, no longer frantic, but peaceful. Thank you, I write the final line. The cycle ends tonight. I look up. The figure smiles, my own face, at peace for the first time. It fades, drifting upward through the broken window into the moonlit sky. The rocking chair slows, then stops. Nguyen shines his light around the chamber. The hidden door frame dissolves into earth. The tunnel trembles. The whispers fade into silence. We climb back into the barn. The hay is still. The footprints vanish. The shrine, The photos, the trunk, all gone as if they never existed. Outside, the fog lifts. The farmhouse windows glow warmly, as though welcoming. The barn door stands open, inviting sunlight that isn't there. I slide into the cruiser. Nguyen closes the door. I start the engine. The radio crackles to life. Unit 7, status. I pause, looking at the open journal on the passenger seat. The final page reads in my handwriting, cycle complete. I am home. I switch off the radio. All clear, I say. We drive away into the pre-dawn gloom. Behind us, the farm stands quiet, its secrets laid to rest. But as the first pale light of morning touches the fields, I feel the watch in my pocket tick once more. Forward, a reminder that time moves on. I slide the journal closed. The cover reads simply, home. And I know, some calls you can't ignore. Some homes you can never truly leave. I switch off the cruiser's engine and kill the headlights. The world beyond the windshield is a tangle of black shapes. Ancient oaks, broken fence posts, a sagging barn roof half hidden in shadow. I step onto the gravel drive, and the soles of my boots crunch like bones. My breath fogs in the chill air. I reach for my radio. Dispatch, Deputy Lane, I'm at the Harlan property. No grid, no backup ETA. Copy? Static hisses. Nothing else. I tuck the mic away. I'm on my own. My flashlight's beam cuts a pale wedge through the darkness. The barn looms on my right. Weathered boards, rusted hinges, the scent of old hay so strong it stings my nostrils. To my left, a corral fence droops, broken rails hanging like broken ribs. I move forward, every sense alert. The only sound is the whisper of wind through dead grass. 20 minutes ago, dispatch patched me through to a silent 911 call. 30 seconds of nothing, then another. Then the neighbor, Old Man Beckett, screaming that he heard a woman's voice, a terrified cry near the silo. His line went dead mid-sentence. They sent me. I should have brought a partner. Protocol says 2-officer response, but hell, this county's short-staffed, and I was nearest. So here I am. I step into the barn. The beam of my flashlight picks out hay bales stacked like monoliths, feed troughs dented and empty, tools scattered on the dirt floor. Motes drift in the light, dust, flies, or something else. I sweep the beam across the far wall, footprints in the dust. One set, bare, small, maybe a child's. They lead toward a side door I hadn't noticed from outside. I crouch, heart thudding, and examine them. Crisp edges, fresh impressions. Someone was here recently, someone scared. I move toward the door. My hand rests on my pistol grip. I ease it open. The door creaks, and a rush of cool air carries the scent of rot and something darker, iron. Blood? I step out into a narrow space between barn and silo. The moonlight slants through broken boards above, illuminating a narrow gap. I shine the light up. The silo door stands ajar. Rusted metal groans. I approach the silo. The round walls tower above me, closing out the sky. I slip inside. The beam trembles across the curved interior, the smell of damp concrete, of mold. I sweep upward, rungs of a ladder bolted to the wall, leading into darkness. No footprints here, I whisper. Dispatch, I'm inside silo. No sign of victim yet. Feels wrong. The radio crackles weakly. Copy. Backup en route, 10 minutes out. I swallow. 10 minutes can stretch into eternity. I climb the ladder. Each rung groans under my weight. Halfway up, I pause. The beam picks out scrawled words on the wall. Stay with me. The letters are smeared, hay dust mixed with something red. My pulse jumps. I flick the light around. No body, no phone, just that message and the echo of my breathing. At the top, a trapdoor yawns open into an attic space. I push upward. The lid sticks, then gives. I haul myself into a low-ceiling loft. Moonlight filters through a cracked skylight, pale and cold. The floor is strewn with yellowed newspapers, clippings about missing persons, silent 911 calls, families vanished. I step carefully among them. My boot crushes an old photograph, a smiling family standing by that very barn decades ago, faces blurred by time. I pocket it. A sudden click behind me. I whirl. The trapdoor slams shut. I yank at it. It won't budge. My flashlight beam dances over the walls. Someone scratched another message. "You came." My throat goes dry. I tap my radio. "Dispatch? Hello?" Silence. A soft scuff beneath the newspapers. I kneel, lift papers. A rotary phone handset lies there, cord coiled into a hole in the floor. The receiver is off hook. I press it to my ear. Nothing but dead line. I glance at the hole. Darkness beyond. Something moves. A breath. I shine my light down. The cord disappears into black. My mind races. This is no accident. Someone set this up. Someone wants me here. I slide the photo into my pocket and back away. I try the trapdoor again. It clicks open. I shove it and tumble out, heart hammering. Below, the barnyard is empty. The fog has thickened, curling around fence posts like fingers. I sprint to my cruiser, hand on my radio mic. "Dispatch, I'm leaving silo. Evidence of staging. Newspapers, phone, messages. Need forensics. Do not let anyone disturb." The radio crackles. "Understood. Stay safe." I slide in behind the wheel, doors locked, and scan the darkness. Then I see her. At the tree line, a silhouette of a woman in tattered dress, head tilted, watching. I lock eyes. Her face is pale, eyes shining. She lifts one hand and waves. A child's sock dangles from her fingers. My stomach twists. I step on the gas. The cruiser's headlights flare. She vanishes. Ahead, headlights, my backup arriving. Relief floods me. I switch on emergency lights. 2 deputies jump out, flashlights raised. "You good, deputy?" one calls. I nod, voice shaking. "Found staged evidence in silo. Someone's playing games." They spread out. I point toward the tree line. "She was there, then gone." They search. We find footprints leading into the woods, adult and child prints. We follow until the forest swallows them. No sign of woman or child. Only broken branches, crushed leaves. We call in K9. The dog sniffs. Tracks lead back to the barn, then circle around, end at the corral. The old fence's broken rails show fresh marks. Claw or tool? We don't know. Forensics bags the newspapers, the phone, the photo. I stand under the moon, adrenaline ebbing, and replay the night. Silent calls. Woman in silo, the phone, the messages, the photograph, the silhouette. It fits too neatly. A lure. My radio crackles. "Deputy Lane, you need to see this." I hurry back. In the barn, forensics found scratch marks on the loft ladder. Fresh, deep. And something else. Fingernail fragments embedded in wood. Human. They send me the photos on my phone. I stare. The fragments are painted red, like dried blood. I feel the hair on my neck rise. Someone was up there with me. Someone left those scraps. Someone watched as I climbed. I step outside. The night is silent again. The deputies pack up. I'm the last to leave. I kill the emergency lights. The barn fades to black. I start the cruiser. As it idles, I glance in the rearview mirror. Behind me, in the back seat, lies the child's sock I bagged as evidence. I didn't bag it. I know I locked the doors. My heart freezes. I reach back. The sock is gone. In its place, a scrap of yellowed newspaper, one headline circled in ink. Family found dead at Harlan Farm, 1952. I open it. The story describes a mother and child. Silent phone calls, anguished screams, no help arrived. The names match the photograph I took. My radio crackles once more, static and a whisper, barely audible. Thanks for coming. I kill the engine. The whisper lingers. I'm alone. I type notes into my report. Possible paranormal involvement. Recommend further investigation, but I don't send it. I pocket the clipping. Tomorrow, I'll ask permission to tear down that barn. Tonight, I drive away. But I know they'll call again, and next time, I'm not sure I'll leave. I skid out of the corral and kill the engine 50 yards from the barn. The sharp snap of gravel under my tires seems deafening in the still night. Deputy Ramirez's SUV idles behind me, engine ticking as it cools. He kills his engine too and steps out, flashlight in hand. "You said you saw someone in the woods?" he asks, voice low. I nod, heart still racing. Female silhouette, child's sock in her hand. I point toward the tree line. Moonlight barely penetrates the fog-swamped oaks. Then she vanished. Ramirez sweeps his beam across the gloom. "All right, K9's on the way. Let's check the barn one more time." We slip back inside. The stale hay smell presses in. Forensics taped off the silo trapdoor. The yellow tape flaps in the faint breeze. Ramirez crouches beside the corral fence, inspecting the gouge marks. "These are fresh," he murmurs. "Maybe a crowbar or hoof?" He snaps photos. "We bag this too." I sweep the barn loft with my light. The ladder's rungs still show those dark red smears, dried and flaking. I shiver, suppress the memory of climbing up there alone. "I want another look," I say. "Something's off." Ramirez nods. "You lead." I climb the ladder again, every rung protesting. At the trapdoor I pause. The attic beyond is dark, silent, an empty stage after the performance. I push it open. Ramirez's light follows. He steps up behind me. We walk among the newspapers. I kneel and gently lift one clipping. A grainy photo of a woman in 1952, arms outstretched in terror. Ramirez shines his light on the scribble at the bottom. She never left. I point to the rotary phone handset. It wasn't here when backup arrived. Ramirez frowns. Someone planted evidence after we left. I trace the coiled cord disappearing into the hole. Or someone kept it hidden until I left. Either way, a soft whine echoes through the barn, like metal twisting. Ramirez freezes. I draw my weapon. The beam drifts to the corner. A piece of hay shifts. Something dark slides away. We both fire a warning shot. The crack rattles the rafters. Silence crashes back. Ramirez exhales. "Nothing." He swallows. "Let's get that phone." I kneel, shining light down the hole. The cord disappears into black. We need to open it up. He nods and pulls a small pry bar. I shine my light as he works the floorboards. They groan, then lift. Beneath lies a shallow cavity. The cord coils into it, then vanishes into a tunnel bored under the barn's foundation. I shine my light into the tunnel's mouth. Damp earth, dark as a grave. This wasn't here naturally. Ramirez snaps photos. We'll need engineers to collapse it, check for chambers. I stand, unease coiling in my gut. And we need to search further down that path in the woods. She led us there. Ramirez glances at his watch. K9's due any second. Let's move. We slip out. The fog has thickened into a wall. My cruiser's lights create ghostly pillars in the mist. Ramirez kneels as the German shepherd arrives, leash in hand. The dog's nose twitches. He catches a scent. Footprints leading from the barn toward the silos, then into the woods. The dog charges forward, and we follow. The path is narrow, overgrown, Branches claw at our jackets. The dog stops at a fallen fence post. Its hackles rise. I kneel, touching the post. Splintered wood, sticky with old sap, and something darker. I shine my light, a smear of red, not fresh, but not entirely faded. Ramirez kneels, pressing a gloved finger to his nose. Iron. He stands. Blood. We push on. The dog halts at a small clearing. Moonlight filters through skeletal branches onto an overturned wheelbarrow. Inside, old farm tools, rotten hay, nothing human. But the dog whines and noses at a clump of soil. I kneel, brushing it aside. Beneath, a child's boot, leather cracked, sole worn thin. The boot of the missing sock. My stomach clenches. I radio dispatch. We have a possible victim's item, child's boot, send crime scene. The reply is distant. Understood, ETA 5 minutes. I glance at Ramirez. She was here. The kid was here. He nods, voice tight. And whoever, whatever, took them wants us to find this. We catalog the boot, photograph the scene. The dog picks up a new scent. Fainter, older, leading deeper into the woods. We follow until branches open onto a derelict corral. Rusted gates, rotted posts. In the center, half buried in mud, lies a tarnished badge. Sheriff's Office, Merrimack County, 1950s era, the same county as the clipping. My breath hitches. That badge, not ours. Ramirez picks it up gingerly. Merrimack County? He wipes mud away. This is Colorado's neighbor. Why would their badge be here? I feel the old photograph in my pocket burn against my thigh. I pull it out. The same badge on the woman's coat, pinned above her heart. A sudden gust stirs the fog. We spin. Between the trees stands the woman, same tattered dress, head tilted. In her hand, the other sock from the pair. She lifts it and drops it at our feet. The dog growls. She glides backward into the mist. I step forward, voice firm. Wait, who are you? What happened here? No answer. She fades away. Silence presses in. Ramirez exhales. Deputy, we need to leave. I nod, fighting the urge to chase. Back to the barn. We'll mark this and come back with daylight crews. He agrees. We retrace our steps, heartbeats loud in our ears. By the time we return, the first pale hint of dawn stains the sky. The tunnel under the barn is open. Engineers carving supports. Forensics grid marks the clearing. I stand aside, watching them work. My partner catches my eye. You okay? He asks. I swallow. I've never seen anything like this. Ramirez claps a hand on my shoulder. We'll get answers. But I know some questions won't wait for daylight. As the sun rises, I slip the 1952 badge into my pocket. The chill of metal against skin is a promise. I'll solve this, or I'll become part of the story. And somewhere in the fog, I hear that whisper again, soft, sibilant. Thank you for coming. I hit the beam of my flashlight into the widening maw of the earth-tunneled shaft beneath the barn. The air that wafts up is fetid and cool, carrying the tang of damp soil and something sour, old decay mixed with iron. Deputy Ramirez stands beside me, kneeling at the edge. His breath puffs in the beam. You sure you want to go down there? I check my gear, sidearm, extra magazine, radio clipped to my vest, flashlight on constant. I have to, I say. Whatever's down there is what's been calling us. He nods, swallows, and I lower myself first. Boots finding purchase on the rough-hewn boards, propped as makeshift steps. The tunnel mouth gapes like a wound in the earth. My light reveals walls of compressed clay, streaked with roots. The floor slopes down at a steep angle. Each step kicks loose pebbles that clatter behind me, sounding unnaturally loud in the confined space. Ramirez follows, his light beam bobbing. We descend until the slope levels into a narrow corridor. barely wide enough for our shoulders. I crouched to examine scratch marks on the clay wall, long, deliberate grooves gouged into the earth. Not animal, too straight, too purposeful. Someone dug this, I murmur. Or something. Ramirez runs his gloved finger across the furrow. Recent, he says. Still moist. We press on. The tunnel stretches 50 feet, then branches. To the left, the shaft continues straight into darkness. To the right, a smaller side passage slopes upward. The dog's faint whining comes through the comm's earpiece. He's picking up a scent from the right. I hesitate, then nod. That way. Ramirez shines his light ahead. We squeeze into the narrower passage. Roots brush our helmets. The beam reveals crude wooden supports, 2x4s wedged to hold back earth. Someone reinforced this. Someone wanted it to stay open. The passage emerges into a low-ceilinged chamber carved under the barn's foundation. The roof is earthen, packed soil supported by wooden beams. In the center, a shallow pit, dried mud caked around its edges. Inside the pit, a child's doll, cracked porcelain face staring blank-eyed, one arm missing. The dog stands at the pit's lip, hackles raised, refusing to go nearer. I swallow hard. The doll's dress is caked with dirt, and a dark stain along the hem that might be oil or blood. I kneel, lift the doll by its torso, careful not to touch the stain. The porcelain arm clatters inside the pit. I turn it over, the name Emily painted in tiny script on the back of its neck. Ramirez snaps photos. Emily, sock, boot, doll, all here. He shines his light upward at the beam supporting the floor above. Past that barn loft. I trace the beam with my gaze. The newspapers, the phone, the messages, they all pointed here. Someone built this hidden lair under the barn. Someone lured me in. My radio crackles. Deputy Lane, detective team is on site. ETA 2 minutes. Relief fights with dread. I slip the doll into an evidence bag. As I seal it, the beam of my flashlight catches writing carved into the wooden support. Tiny letters gouged deep. Stay with her. My heart hammers. I shine my light up the beam. Scratch marks lead from the carving toward a dark recess beneath the loft above. I draw my weapon. Something else down here. Ramirez nods, training his light on the recess. We approach. The floor is damp. Water drips from overhead. The dog whines. I step into the recess. My boot sinks into wet earth. I kneel. The beam illuminates another object, half buried. A tarnished sheriff's badge. Merrimack County again, pinned to a scrap of rotten fabric. I pick it up, cold metal heavy in my hand. A soft shuffle behind me makes me spin. Ramirez's light catches movement. A slim shape darting up the slope of the tunnel toward the barn. I fire a warning shot. The echo rattles the wood beams. The shape disappears. Ramirez curses softly. We need to get out. Detectives coming. I nod, but my gaze lingers on the far wall. There, scrawled in fresh clay, "Thank you for coming." I pocket the badge. We climb back up the wooden steps, emerging under the silo trapdoor. I slam it shut and push heavy boards back into place. The barnyard is bright with the patrol lights of the arriving detective team. I hear radios, boots, voices calling. Ramirez and I step into the open. He claps me on the shoulder. "You did good." I nod, but my mind races. The doll, the badge, the carvings, they all match the messages. Stay with me. You came. Stay with her. Thank you for coming. Someone was guiding me, taunting me, thanking me for playing their game. A detective approaches, clipboard in hand. "Deputy Lane, Deputy Ramirez, brief me." I force my voice steady. "We found a hidden tunnel, child's doll, Merrimack County badge, scratch carvings. I relay the facts. The detective's brow furrows. He glances at the barn. We'll need to excavate this. Get search warrants. As they bustle, I step aside and pull out the torn photograph from my pocket. The smiling family in front of the barn. Woman wearing that same badge. I stare at the little girl's face in the photo, Emily. The mother's arms outstretched, their eyes full of fear. A breeze stirs the fog. I glance up. In the loft window, I think I see a figure watching. Tall, still, head tilted. I blink. Nothing. I tuck the photo back. 10 minutes later, the tunnel entrance is cordoned off. Engineers and CSI move in. I stand with Ramirez, watching. He sighs. You think she's real? I look at the crate holding the doll and badge. I know she was. I pause, and I think she's waiting for us to finish the job. Ramirez swallows. You want to go back in? I meet his eyes. Tonight, I say, when it's quiet. He nods slowly. Let's be ready. I pocket my radio and flashlight. As I walk away, I feel the weight of that whisper echo in my mind. Thank you for coming. And I know they're not done with me yet. I step away from the excavation as the CSI team moves in, the midday sun burning off the last tendrils of fog. My boots sink into churned earth where the tunnel entrance was. I pull my notebook from my vest pocket and flip to a blank page. I write 4 words at the top. Section 5, The Return. Then I pause, glancing at the barn's weathered silhouette. They've boarded up the silo door and strung yellow tape around the corral. Detectives mill about, photographing the scene, brushing soil from the scattered newspapers and that cracked porcelain doll. Ramirez stands beside me, arms crossed, watching the activity with a grim expression. He's been quiet since we surfaced from that hidden chamber. I know he's replaying every moment. The doll in the pit, the badge, those carved messages. I look at my watch. It's just past 6. The detective in charge said they'd wrap up by dusk. Night will fall in another 2 hours. We agreed to return once the formal search ended, when everyone else went home. No uniforms, no lights, just us, the darkness, and whatever waits beneath. Ready? I slip the notebook back into my pocket. Ramirez nods, tightening the straps on his flashlight harness. We each carry a sidearm, extra magazines, gloves, and a coil of thin rope. We've rigged a small GoPro camera to record our descent. We duck under the crime scene tape and hurry to the barn. The boards over the silo hatch have been removed, curious. Someone wants us to go back in. I set my flashlight to low beam. Stay close, I whisper. Ramirez clicks on his light. We slip inside. The barn is silent except for distant voices fading as detectives pack up. Our lights carve through the gloom, revealing the loft ladder. I rest my hand on the first rung. The wood is cold, splintered, still stained red from the original smears. I climb, Ramirez close behind. Each rung creaks under our weight. The trapdoor lies open, as if inviting us. In the attic, the scattered newspapers flutter in a sudden draft, though the barn seems airtight. I catch a headline. Harlan family vanished, 1952. Beneath it, someone has circled the date. October 13th. I trace the circle with my fingertip. October 13th is tonight. 73 years later. A chill runs down my spine. I shine my light around. The rotary phone sits on the floor where we left it. The receiver is on hook. I crouch, lift it. The cord is taut, leading into the hole in the floor. I motion to Ramirez. He kneels and fits the GoPro into the cavity, angling it down the shaft. We press record. I slip through the trapdoor into the silo. The ladder down to the tunnel mouth gleams dimly. I begin my descent. Ramirez follows. The GoPro captures our feet on the makeshift steps, the coiled phone cord, the clay walls. At the bottom, I switch on my main beam. The tunnel yawns before us. "Stay sharp," I murmur. Ramirez's breathing echoes. We step into the corridor. The dog's harness lies abandoned where it slipped free. No sign of the canine. I wonder if the dog ever came down here. We reach the branch. The GoPro light shows the side passage we took before. I push forward. The narrow shaft leads to the chamber. I raise my beam. The doll pit is empty. The earth has been disturbed. I kneel and find fresh footprints in the damp mud, small, adult-sized next to child-sized. They lead toward the far wall. There, a loose board in the support beam, carved with new letters. I'm alone. I swallow. I know that voice. It's Deputy Beckett's voice from the first 911 calls, a woman's whisper. I slide the board aside. Behind it, a slim crawl space. The headroom is low, maybe 2 feet. The damp smell is stronger. Ramirez shoves a length of rope through the opening. "You first," he says. I lie flat and wriggle in. The space squeezes me. Clay dust falls from the ceiling. My light bobbles ahead. I follow the cord until the crawlspace opens into a narrow shaft lined with rough-hewn boards. Another secret tunnel, this one newer. I climb a short ladder and emerge into a dark room beneath the barn floor, an oubliette. The beam reveals damp stone walls and a single narrow window high above, moonlight slanting in. In the center, a small bed of hay. On it lies a little girl, eyes closed, breathing shallow. Next to her, the German Shepherd pup, limp, collar snapped. My heart seizes. I rush forward. The child's hair is pale in the moonlight. I kneel, check her pulse, weak but present. I scoop her into my arms. She stirs, eyes fluttering open. She's maybe 5, Emily. She sniffles, looks at me with wide, frightened eyes. "Deputy Monroe," I say softly. "It's okay, I've got you." She clutches my shirt. The dog whines, lifts its head, wags its tail weakly. My relief crashes into horror. Someone kept this child down here, alone, with the dog as her only companion. I glance around. The window is too high to reach. The ladder back is behind me. Ramirez's light falls on the far wall. More carving. Fresh. "Stay with her." I press the child closer. We're leaving. I turn toward the ladder tunnel, but a low groan reverberates through the chamber. A voice, deep and strained. Emily presses her face into my shoulder. A dark shape detaches from the far corner. The detective's flashlight beam catches a tall figure in overalls, face hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat. He steps forward, slow, deliberate. The badge pinned to his chest gleams. Merrimack County Sheriff, 1950s style. His mouth twists into that same silent grin. I stand, gun drawn. "Who are you?" My voice echoes. He tilts his head. His breath hisses. "Thank you for coming." His words drift like vapor. Behind me, the child whimpers. Ramirez appears at the tunnel mouth. I point. He's here. Ramirez raises his light. "Sir, you need to step away." The figure takes another step. The dog snarls. I squeeze the girl's hand. "Go," I whisper to Ramirez. He grips the rope and hauls the dog up into the tunnel, then climbs out. I herd Emily toward the ladder. The figure watches, unmoving. As I climb, Emily clutching me, the floor trembles. The haybed collapses into a pit that wasn't there seconds ago. The figure's laugh, a hollow, crackling sound, reverberates. I reach the ladder and scramble up, pulling Emily after me. Ramirez catches her, then me. We climb into the silo. We race up the silo ladder, bursting into the barn loft as the detective team's lights sweep the yard. I hoist Emily through the trapdoor. She collapses into Ramirez's arms, sobbing. The dog stumbles out behind her. I turn to the barn, and the figure stands at the loft opening, silhouetted against the moon. He raises a hand in farewell. Then he steps back into the shadows and vanishes. Emily wraps her arms around me. I hold her tight as Ramirez radios for medical. The detective rushes in. "She's alive," I say, "but he's still here." I point upward. They sweep the beam. No one. That night, in the hospital hallway, I watch Emily sleep under a blanket. Her parents weep quietly when they reunite. I slip the battered Merrimack badge from my pocket and place it on the tray table. Back at the barn, they sealed the tunnel. Engineers filled it with concrete. Forensics collected every scrap of wood, every splinter. They found the dog's collar, the girl's boot, the doll's missing arm. They found nothing of the figure. I drive away alone before dawn. My cruiser's mirror catches movement in the rear window. I glimpse a pale face. Woman, child, or ghost, I can't tell. Then it's gone. I pull onto the highway, heart pounding. On the passenger seat lies the Merrimack badge and the little porcelain doll. I pick up the doll, stroke its cracked cheek. Underneath, scrawled in tiny faded ink, "See you next time." I pocket the doll. I fasten the badge to my vest. And I whisper into the quiet cab, "Thank you for coming," because I know they'll call again. And next time, I'll answer. I pulled off County Road 47 into the knee-high grass just past the mailbox marked Harper Farm. The cruiser's headlights cutting twin swaths of yellow through the mist. The moon was low, half hidden behind ragged clouds, and the air smelled of damp straw and distant pines. My radio crackled once, then went silent. No confirmation that backup was en route. No voice on the line except my own heartbeat thumping in my chest. I eased the door open, my boots sinking into soft earth as I stepped onto the rickety porch. Inside, the air was colder than outside, as if the walls had absorbed the chill of long-ago winters and held on to it. The beam from my flashlight trembled across peeling wallpaper, a threadbare sofa, and a single rocking chair that swayed gently, though there was no breeze. My hand hovered on the butt of my Glock. My training told me to clear methodically, hall by hall, room by room. My gut told me this place was a trap. I switched on the digital recorder clipped to my vest. "Deputy Ross to dispatch," I said quietly. "On scene at 911 silent, call location. Harper Farm. No visible lights, no response to PA. My breath fogged the beam. No answer. I clicked off the mic. A series of soft thumps came from down the hallway, slow, deliberate. Someone was moving inside. I cleared my throat. "Sheriff's office, I know someone's here. Come out with your hands where I can see them." My voice sounded too loud, echoing off the bare floorboards. The thumping stopped. Silence stretched. I edged forward, flashlight in left hand, gun in right. The hallway narrowed, doors on either side. The first door was cracked. I pushed gently. An empty bedroom, a single mattress on the floor, stained and torn. A child's sock lying abandoned in the corner. I scanned the ceiling. Water stains looked almost like dark hands reaching downward. I whispered into my recorder. "Bedroom clear, possible juvenile occupant." No reply. At the end of the hall was the kitchen. Rusted sink, a coil of extension cord on the counter, a toppled chair. The back door sat slightly ajar. Muddy footprints led out into the yard. I crouched, examined one. Size 11 boot, deep tread, fresh. Whoever was here had come through that door. No other exit. I radioed again. "Dispatch, I have prints leading out. Looks like someone left on foot." Static. I stepped outside onto the sagging wooden step. The night wrapped around me, all sound magnified. The soft creak of the porch, the distant cry of an owl, the hiss of my own breath. I followed the footprints across the grass toward the barn. The silo loomed like a silent sentinel. The barn door was closed, the wood warped. The prints led up the ramp to the hayloft. I climbed, each step groaning beneath me. My light pierced the gloom. Bundles of hay, rusted tools, the silhouette of a single boot print in the loose straw. Then movement at the far end, a shifting shape. I froze. "Police," I called. It vanished. The beam landed on empty space. My pulse ratcheted up. I panned the rafters, dark, empty, oppressive. From below came a faint tapping, like metal on wood. I thought of the calls, silence, static, then cut off. Whoever was in this barn had the phone, had called 911, then stayed silent, waiting. My radio crackled to life. "Ross, you there?" Back up. Relief washed through me. "I'm up in the barn. Send 2 units, possible trespasser." "On our way," came the reply. I turned to descend and froze. At the bottom of the ramp lay a single leather glove, palm up, flecked with hay. I picked it up with my flashlight, expensive stitching, women's size. No name, no identifying marks. Inside the glove was a smear of dark red, dry blood. My stomach clenched. I dropped it. The tapping upstairs stopped. Silence again. I swallowed, steadied myself. "If you're in here, come out now," I shouted. My voice cracked. Nothing. I stepped onto the ramp, boot heels slipping in loose straw. Halfway up, the air turned icy. My breath steamed. A whisper drifted through the beams. "Please." I whipped around. Empty loft. The whisper came again, softer. "Help me." It wasn't over the radio, it was in my ear. I swept the flashlight. No one. I forced myself to climb the rest of the way, heart hammering. At the top, the beam landed on muddy footprints leading to a hatch in the ceiling, one I hadn't noticed before. The boards around it were scraped, fresh wood dust at the edges. I pressed my shoulder to the hatch. It gave with a groan. Up above, darkness. My radio sputtered. I dropped the glove again. No turning back. I lifted the hatch just enough to slip through. My flashlight dropped into the void above, leaving the loft in darkness. For a heartbeat, I considered retreat. But I'm a cop. You chase until answers, or until you die trying. I hoisted myself into the crawl space. The boards creaked under my weight. I inched forward, arms extended, feeling rough wood and nails. The space opened into a low-ceilinged chamber. Stone walls, dank air, the smell of earth and rot. My beam caught shapes. A tangle of old feed sacks, broken crates, and at the far end, a woman's silhouette pressed against the wall. Pale face, eyes wide, mouth opening in a silent scream. My heart stopped. I aimed the light. She was real. Her lips moved. "He's here." The voice was hollow, distant. Then the light flickered and died, batteries drained at once. I fumbled for new ones, hands shaking. The radio crackled. "Ross, you still there?" I clicked my mic. "Yeah, found someone. Need EMT." Behind me, the hatch slammed shut. I spun, gun drawn, but the woman was gone. The stone chamber was empty, only the echo of dripping water. My flashlight flickered back on, batteries restored for no reason I could explain. I climbed back through the hatch, slammed it open, and raced down the ramp. My radio sputtered static as I called for backup again. I burst into the yard, empty. No sign of the woman, no footprints except mine. The glove lay where I'd dropped it. I grabbed it, heard a soft click behind me. The barn door latched itself. I spun. Nothing. The mist thickened. The silo's shadow stretched long and silent. I pressed the glove to my chest, knuckles white. Dispatch came through. "Units en route, ETA 2 minutes." I climbed back into the barn for a final look. The loft hatch was closed, flush with the boards. No dust on the latch, no sign it had moved. I stepped outside again. The night was still. Cornstalks whispered in a wind I couldn't feel. I kept watching until headlights appeared on the road. As the cruisers rolled in, I tucked the glove into an evidence bag. I didn't say what I'd seen, or almost seen, in that chamber. The report would note, unidentified trespasser, possible hypoxia chamber, victim missing, procedural, clinical, but I know what I heard. The next morning, the barn's crawlspace was empty. No sign the hatch had ever existed. The glove tested positive for human blood, but no match. The farmhouse phone line was dead. No cell signal, no witness. I drove away as the sun rose, the mist burning off the fields. In my mirror, I thought I saw a figure standing by the silo, tall, slender, watching. I blinked. Nothing. I pocketed the recorder. The file is sealed. I still hear the whisper in quiet moments. Help me. And I wonder whether I saved her, or unleashed whatever was waiting below the barn floor. The wind stirs the cornstalks. The glove lies in evidence lockup, but the chill never left me. Something in that chamber slipped free, and it's out there under the shattered moon, waiting. I jerked as the barn door slammed behind me, the echo reverberating through the wooden ribs like a gunshot. My flashlight beam danced wildly across the ramp as I dashed down into the loft, half expecting that pale face to reappear in the shadows. But the hayloft was empty, only the loose straw shifting under my boots. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and old secrets. My radio crackled again. Deputy Ross, what's your status? Backup, finally close. I clicked the mic. I'm clear up here, no sign of the victim. I found an abandoned hatch leading to a subterranean chamber, but when I returned it had vanished. I swallowed hard. Need forensic team to check structural anomalies. Copy that. Units on scene in 1 minute. The line went dead. I let out a shaky breath and moved to re-examine the hayloft floor. The muddy footprints I'd seen minutes before were gone. In their place, the boards were scuffed, like something heavy had been dragged across them. I ran my fingertips along the groove, deep, splintered wood, leading toward the east wall. My light glinted off something metallic wedged between two planks. A tarnished key, ornate, with a loop shaped like a snarling animal's head. I picked it up, heart pounding. Why would a key be down here? What lock did it fit? I slipped it into my pocket. Tools rattled outside as the first backup cruiser rolled in. Lights off, but engine idling. Deputies Rivera and Chen climbed out, flashlights ready. Rivera's face was grim. You call it in? She asked. I nodded, holding up the key. Found this in the hayloft. Also heard a woman whisper. I trailed off. She raised an eyebrow. Chen glanced at me expectantly. I forced myself to speak clearly. No sign of her now, and that hatch, it disappeared. I swear it was real. Rivera's jaw tightened. We'll get the K9 unit and a structural team. Let's clear the barn and the cellar, if there is one. Together, we swept the barn floor. The hayloft hatch was gone, just continuous boards. I ran my palm over the area. No seam, no latch. The ramp creaked under us. In the corner, the leather glove lay where I'd dropped it, half buried in straw. I bagged it again. Chen shone his light on the wall. What's that? There, carved into the wood supports, was a series of symbols. An interlocking spiral, a broken circle, and what looked like tally marks. Fresh gouges, dark with dried sap. I knelt, tracing the spiral with my fingertip. The wood was rough, splintered. Not natural, I said. Someone, or something, etched these recently. Rivera photographed the carvings. This is beyond trespassing. We need to treat it as a potential crime scene. I climbed back into the loft and shone my light along the beams. The extension cord I'd seen in the kitchen had reappeared here, coiled around a rafter, its end frayed. I traced it to a small junction box attached to the floorboards, one I hadn't noticed. The cover was loose. Inside, wires had been cut and retaped haphazardly. Someone rigged the barn's lighting, or silence, in a way to lure me here. A hollow dread settled in my gut. This wasn't random. Someone wanted me to find that chamber, or someone, or something, wanted me down there. Rivera's voice crackled in my ear. "Ross, we got K9 on standby. They're not picking up a scent. Barn's too contaminated. We'll have to do this old school." I nodded, though she couldn't see me. "Be careful." We descended together into the ground level. The barn's atmosphere changed, every sound magnified, every shadow alive. My flashlight picked out rotting hay bales, rusted tools, broken stalls. At the far end, the wall paneling looked newer, different wood, cleaner. A door, small, rectangular, bolted shut, no handle. The key in my pocket pulsed like a heartbeat. I approached, heart slamming. Rivera trained her light on the bolts. Chen knelt to inspect the frame. The keyhole was hidden in the seam. I drew the ornate key and slid it in. It fit perfectly. With a click, the bolts withdrew. The door swung inward on rusty hinges, revealing a narrow staircase descending into pitch darkness. Silence pressed in. I flicked on my flashlight and stepped inside. The air was colder, bone-chilling. Each breath came out in visible plumes. The stairs ended at a low-ceilinged corridor, walls of rough stone damp with moisture. The beam revealed puddles on the flagstone floor and glints of metal, chains, shackles. My pulse thundered. I raised my radio. Deputy Ross entering subterranean chamber, backup at threshold. Footsteps on the stairs behind me. Rivera's silhouette appeared, flashlight trembling. "Jesus," she muttered. "This is some kind of cell." We moved forward. The corridor branched left and right. At the intersection on the wall, more carvings. Those same spirals and circles, now accompanied by words scratched into stone. "He awaits." My stomach turned to ice. A low groan echoed from the left passage. I signaled Rivera to stay back and edged forward, gun drawn. My light beam landed on a heavy iron door, barred from this side. Through a narrow slit, I saw movement. A shape huddled, rocking. The whisper came again. "Help me." I pressed my ear to the slit. The voice was faint, panicked. "Please, release me." I gripped the bars. "Deputy Ross, I'm going to open this door. Stay calm." I looked back at Rivera. She swallowed hard. I slid the key into the lock at the door's side and turned. The mechanism groaned. The door swung inward on squealing hinges. Inside lay a small cell. Damp straw on the floor, scratch marks on the walls, and in the corner, the woman. Her clothes were filthy, eyes wide with relief. As I stepped in, she collapsed into my arms. Her whisper was raw. "He's coming." I lifted my flashlight to scan the cell. No sign of another person. Just her, and the dark bars behind me. I radioed medical. Rivera stepped in, shining her light on the carvings above the cell door, the spiral, the broken circle. Underneath, fresh scratches. "Now." The woman looked up, eyes terrified. "You shouldn't have freed me," she said. "He doesn't like company." The air pulsed. My beam flickered. From the corridor came a slow, deliberate thump, footsteps on stone. Something heavy moving. I drew my gun. The woman screamed, "Lock it! Lock it!" Turned. The cell door was ajar. Rivera lunged to slam it shut and bolt it, but the bars bent inward, metal groaning. A shape filled the corridor. Tall, broad shoulders, 2 long arms. Its head was tilted, empty eye sockets reflecting the flashlight like black mirrors. time slowed. The thing stepped forward. The whisper rose into a chorus. Help me, help me. But twisted, layered, coming from every direction. I fired once, but the shot cracked uselessly against stone. The creature paused, head cocked, then lunged. Rivera screamed. The bars bowed. I dove to shove them closed. The creature's claws scraped the frame, metal twisted with screeching agony. The woman yanked at my sleeve. Run! Get out! I grabbed her hand. We bolted through the cell door as Rivera slammed the outer door to the corridor. We ran up the stairs 2 at a time, adrenaline burning in our lungs. The barn rumbled behind us like a growl. We burst into the night. The moon had slipped behind clouds. The yard was empty, eerily calm. I shoved the woman into Rivera's cruiser. She sobbed, breathing hard. He's trapped. Down there, he wants out. I heard it then, a low rumble from the barn, as if something enormous pounded at the boards. The night air trembled. My radio was dead. No backup voice, no reassuring crackle, just static. I climbed onto the porch and locked eyes on the barn. It stood silent again, as if nothing had happened. The silo cast a long, watchful shadow. My boots sank in mud as I approached, and the barn door swung open slowly, revealing only darkness. I stepped back. The whisper curled around me. Help me. Softer now, mournful. The air smelled of rot and regret. I turned to Rivera. Her face was pale. What the hell did we unleash? I didn't answer. I pocketed the key, the only thing linking that cell to this world. Behind me, the barn settled into silence. In the morning light, structural engineers will call it an abandoned feed cellar, blame it on squatters, call in mental health teams. Reports will mention possible hallucination and stress factors. The evidence locker holds a lone glove, a carved wooden beam, and an ornate key. But I know the truth. Some doors stay locked for a reason, and some things buried beneath old farms should never be freed. We drove away as the first rays of dawn pried the mist from the fields. I glanced back once. The barn stood empty, silent, its secret chamber hidden once more. Yet I could still hear the faintest echo of that whisper. Help me. And I know it isn't over.